quest for political success, the Black Stars coaching job deja vu. We're back to talking about football once again. And in international politics, ECOWAS has been dealing with the Guinean situation. We find out the way forward. We're live here on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. We're also live around the world online at 3news.com. Please join us on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. And between now and 10 a.m., I look forward to hearing from you via our WhatsApp line. It's 055-698-789. You can also tweet at TV3_Ghana at 3FM 92.7. You can also tweet at me, Beho Bampo. And I've already seen some of your tweets coming through. I will definitely read them. Follow us on Facebook as well on TV3 Ghana and 3FM 92.7. Our hashtag is hashtag the key points. Thank you for joining us. We take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Big Five. Jeanette Services presents Women in Worship. Themed The Grace Experience, featuring the VGMA Artist of the Year, Diana Hamilton, the incredible Mercy Chinwell, and the amazing Judy K from Nigeria. With support from Florence Obinim and Celestine Donkor, Daughters of Glorious Jesus, and Obapa Christie. Date Sunday, September 19th. Venue UPSA Auditorium, Medina. Gates open at 4 p.m. Tickets are selling for 70 Ghana Cedis single and 120 Ghana Cedis double at Airport Shell, Bachelor Total, UPSA, or purchase via www.myticketghana.com. For VIP family packages or ticket reservations, call 0248-810-396. Women in Worship is proudly brought to you by Fortune Rice and Onga, and supported by Fritol Oil, Electroland Ghana, Fan Milk, Unilever, Ophelia Crossland, Velma Accessories, ABS Collection, ATL Fabrics, Better Malt, Awake Purified Drinking Water, and EcoNad Entertainment. Media partners, Media General. Women in Worship. Daughter, you still have a voice.
Introducing Nestle Milo All-in-One Nutrimix. The goodness of malt, milk and cocoa in Milo, and even more milk. Just add to water and enjoy the perfect cup of winning energy. Milo! Milo! This advertisement has been vetted and approved by
Do you know how to solatido, or you know how to blow all the bars? Then your time has come to be the next global icon on Mentor X. Who will take over from the lyrical Kweku Bani and climb out the music industry to be the next global icon? If you're in the Northern Belt, catch the Mentor Audition training Tamale on the 17th of September at the Radash Hotel at 8 a.m. Applicants from the Middle Belt will converge at Maitland Hotel, Kumasi on the 19th of September 2021. The Western and Central Belts can join us at Akroma Plaza Hotel, Takrady on the 21st of September. Finally, Southern Belt auditions will take place on the 24th and 25th September 2021 at TV3 at the Sawe Kanda.
This is the one, it's all the black girls out to rock.
nationals from other African countries can also compete in MentorX. If you come from any other African country but live in Ghana, you can also join us at any of the audition centers to book your spot in the competition. It's the 10th edition of TV3 Mentor. MentorX takes you higher.
Who joins the final bus to the finale? It's been weeks of cultural exposition on Ghana's most beautiful. The ladies gave their best performances, grew through the race, and this week, the ladies throw their last shot at selling tourism in their various regions. Who makes it to the final 6 is the last eviction. To secure that final spot for your contestant, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app on Google Play Store or the App Store and vote. GMB comes to you live this Sunday only on TV3. Audience strictly by invitation. GMB 2021, rediscovering true beauty. GMB 2021 shows Sundays at 8 p.m. and repeats Fridays at 3 p.m. and is sponsored by Lavon's Tomato Mix, Camel now from Kerex, Freedom from Casaprecon, GTP, Darling Lemon Drink, Airtel Tigo's Big Time Bundles, Lufat, Deluxe Acrylic Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, and Napa Mackerel,
Geisha, Close Up,
Ayo Insurance, Fan Milk Nutri-Day Yogurt, and supported by
The Saturday mornings will never be the same again.
We will bring you the best mix of sports and lifestyle content on Warm Up Plus.
We will interview exciting professionals from different fields of endeavor, including sports and fitness. Give fans an opportunity to show their passion and preview upcoming games.
Discuss what's trending in the world of sports and entertainment, give you lifestyle tips, serve you music, exercise, dance, laugh, and have an absolute ball on TV each Saturday.
So whether you're a fan or you just like fun,
you will absolutely love Warm Up Plus.
Warm Up Plus shows live Saturdays at 10 a.m. only on TV3.
This Saturday on Music.
Hey, what's up?
Are you ready to see our on-site live?
Mr. Masani. Well, if I can't believe them, you love you, not talking, but me girl are there, you know me cannot be a shame.
La Russo, come on in.
Kill it. La Russo, welcome to Nikides. Rude and solid, we are Gides. Talk and put me up. Eva, La Russo, Eva. Oi, facial expression. Oi.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Thanks very much for staying with us here on the Key Points. Now, it remains a long wait for the announcement of MMDCAs. Anticipation kicked in when the Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahen, tweeted some 2 days ago reassuring that submissions of the final list had gone to the Minister of Local Government. Well, since then, we continue to wait in anticipation. Yesterday, the governing NPP held a media briefing to reiterate some key points to manage the aftermath of the announcement. And it's three things. It's first, urging that the decision made be accepted by all, that the interested parties not engage in acts of anger or violence, and that all interested parties work in a unified fashion to achieve the president's and the government's goals. Our guest this morning, the Honorable Yao Boabin Asamoah, Communications Director of the NPP, former MP for Adenta, and Dr. Richard Fiadomo, Chamber of Local Government. He's the president. Thank you very much, and send your messages to our WhatsApp line 055-369-8789. But let's hear Honorable Boabing Asamoah yesterday when he addressed that media briefing.
Once the list is published, competition in any form must end. Nobody must go around insisting that they ought to have been the right person and instigating issues during the approval processes. We are asking everybody, especially the party grassroots, to be calm, to be very, very calm, and to act in ways that promote good relations at a working level in order to give the new nominees the best possible opportunity to work in the interests of the grassroots of the nation. So the approval process impacts all of us. This is not confined to a monopoly of the MPP, and therefore, when we ask for calm, we are asking every stakeholder, but we specifically say party because the appearance of the party owning the process is important as well, since the president who is nominating them depends on his party for support at local level. We are advising the nominees as well to, as much as possible, open up and provide space for all shades of opinion in their work. We don't expect successful nominees to gloat. We don't expect successful nominees to shut out people who contested with them. We don't expect successful nominees to have a closed-door administration.
Thanks very much for staying with us. So let me welcome the gentleman to the studio. Honorable Boabing, thanks very much for making some time for us again this morning. Thank you. And Dr. Fiadomo, thanks very much for joining us in our studio as well. So I'll start off with Honorable Boabing Asamoah. So we've been waiting for 9 months and we are still waiting for days. Many expected this list to come out yesterday, but it hasn't. Is there anything going on? More lobbying?
Thank you very much, Jifa, for having me this morning, and let me say a very big hello to all your viewers and listeners as well. First of all, it's not 9 months. We've all been caught in the trap of 9 months because the president started 9 months ago.
True.
But the tenure of the MMDCs is not coterminous with that of Parliament. Yes. So the last one, I believe, expired in May. So perhaps
4 or 5 months.
Off by 4 months.
Okay.
Yes, 4 months. Assuming we were supposed to replace them immediately, they were off by 4 months. It's been testing, and we underestimate the impact of the process we've burdened ourselves with, where the president is supposed to appoint all these individuals as his direct representatives at local level.
216 of them.
Yes. It's not easy getting your mind, your opportunity around selecting the best, those you can work with, because they are representing you directly. And so there isn't also a prescribed selection process by law. There isn't one at the moment. So it's open to the discretion of the appointing authority, who is the president, how he gets to identify and nominate somebody. The last time, in the first term, and I remember correctly because I was involved, the idea was to get consensus at local level between the two key players, the MP who is being elected by the constituency, and then the district chief executive who is being appointed by the president to represent all of us. So there was some sort of process where the input of MPs were sought. Now, this time, you realize there was a committee process where the president established a committee at regional level, headed by the regional ministers, to receive applications within the region. And then they shortlisted, and then the shortlist was sent to another committee headed by the Ministry of Local Government, which also then ordered the shortlist in a sort of ranking, but still left the final decision to the president. So the president then received the list from regional level, from the national level, and had to then sit back and look through it, literally.
So the president went through each
district
of
by
these
district, literally district by district,
asking questions about the why and the who,
absorbing the report. In some instances, getting back to the district at grassroots level to confirm for himself whether he was comfortable with the choice. And it has taken time. He had to consult chiefs again, a broad array of stakeholders, because this is not just about the party. It's not just about the government. It's local governance, decentralized local governance. Everybody has a stake in it. So that process that the president took was the third level of the selection process. And now the entire process has come to an end. Happily, I'm sure the list will be out sooner than you think.
So why did
God is laughing.
So why did may I ask why the NPP held this press conference yesterday then, knowing fully well that maybe the list was not going to be out?
Oh, no. There are two contexts, but the list will be out.
Okay.
Yes, I can confirm that the list will be out.
Okay.
I mean,
maybe by Monday.
I hope it certainly is Monday. Okay. I even wanted it to be this weekend.
Okay.
But I hope by Monday it will be done. But we had to have the press conference because of this tension and conception out there that is being late by 9 months. Everybody's been taken in by the assumption of 9 months, but in reality, it's shorter than 9 months, 4 months, and therefore, one had to assure the people that it's finally here, and rest, and it will happen. The second thing was that we needed to also assure those who have been there, who expect to be appointed, and who don't know their fate. Because if we have over 1,300 people applying for
1,300 people applied for the 216
positions, and then after such a long period of selection, many of them still don't know where they sit on the situation. And I have to admit.
So this was more of a way to manage.
Yeah, because
the outlook
some lists
ahead
are also circulating. Which I can't confirm. So you have expectations, you have, so there are places where they may assume that, oh, this list is authentic, and I haven't seen my favorite, or my favorite got it, so I've begun to, lord it over those who didn't. We are human beings. So it was important to let everybody understand that there's only one list, and that list is what the president will announce,
not what is circulating in the public
space.
So with all sorts of explanations. We'll come into the details of some of the explanations.
Yes. Once the president announces it, we expect that everybody will accept the results that has been announced, irrespective of whatever list you've seen before or your expectations, personal expectations. This is the president's right, prerogative, and he has exercised it to the best of his capacity in the circumstances.
Okay. Dr. Fiadomo, Honorable Boabin has given us quite a long list about what the process has been. I dare say this is one of the most anticipated lists, even beyond ministerial appointments. What are your thoughts about the depth of effort in this whole selection process?
Yeah, thank you very much. Greetings to all your cherished viewers and listeners. I think that the government, through this spokesperson, are struggling hard to make us believe that it's not 9 months. On the 11th of January this year, 2021, the president wrote to all the MMDCs asking them to stay on. And he also made specific reference to the Presidential Transition Act 2012 and asked them to be in acting position and should not take policy decisions. Wabian someone here is a lawyer. How can you be in a substantive position and then same position you are being asked to stay by act? It means that your term of office has been terminated. And that's what the president did in January. That's why he asked all of them. We do know that the first batch of MMDCs came to office around May. In 2018, 58 districts were created. MMDCs were appointed? Why did the president lump all of them together and ask them to be in active position, which we even think is an illegality even in the first place? So from January 11th to September 11th, it's 9 months. So for somebody to say that the term should have ended in May, it cannot be correct.
But there are people in position, they still provide a certain guidance for implementation of policies and decisions that had already been taking place, not new ones.
No, the way the assembly system runs, you have honorable assembly members who go to sit at General Assembly meeting and make policies. This year, they have had General Assembly meetings, but the President has asked the MMDCs not to take policy decision. What it means is that every meeting that the Assembly goes and makes policy, those policies cannot be implemented by the people or the persons who are purporting to be acting as MMDCs. So the issue is clear. 11th January, all MMDCs were sacked by the President, and he went ahead to ask them to act. So that's why we say it is not
an extreme view.
It is not.
Because it's different knowing that a district doesn't have an MMDC. Let me give an example. Sechedumase, Ezra Sechedumase. Later on, it became evident that the MCE had decided to walk away from the job. That's a clear example of a certain political gap that exists. That didn't seem to exist in the districts.
Yeah, normally what happens, if there's a vacancy at any district or municipal assembly, the president asks the regional minister to oversee that particular district. This time around, there was an express instruction from the president through the chief of staff. He wrote to all MMDCs to continue remaining in office in an acting capacity. What is the essence of the Presidential Transition Act 2012? It is supposed to be for people who are acting, and once you are acting, there are certain decisions you cannot take because you are not the substantive. So if my term of office has not expired, and then you now give me a letter asking me to go into acting position, what does it mean? It means that my office term has been terminated. Like you rightly said, it's not terminated. The president, per the constitution, has the power to remove all MMDCs and appoint. So that is why they should understand that it is 9 months. Now, the processes that they had to undergo, we were told that they had to undergo regional vetting, which they did, and then they had to undergo another national vetting. So if you have gone through all these processes and now the list now comes to the presidency and it's with the president, now at what stage is the president starting the broad consultation? Is he waiting, or did he wait for the people to have gone through the mail and then somebody has been recommended to you and now you are now going to do broad consultation? We think that this whole process was deliberately done because the government does not want to release the common fund for 2021.
That's a major allegation.
They are just buying time to make sure that by the time the MMDCs are appointed and confirmed, then we are entering into December, January. And that is the fact. Because as we speak,
that's not fair.
As we speak,
how can it be a fact?
How can it be a fact? No, let me land. As we speak, the third quarter of the 2020, common fund has not been released. First quarter has, if they are telling us that there's no vacuum at the assemblies, how come a whole year common fund has not been released when we are supposed to have MMDCs at post? What is the essence of the common fund? It is meant for development. The common fund, we have it on authority that it is not available. If they say it's available Monday, they should release it even before the MMDCs are confirmed. So we think that this whole how do you allow people to go through a process? Recommendation that is supposed to have gone to the president, which is confidential information, it is leaked to the press and indeed social media. We are told yesterday, I think Wednesday, the director of communication came out and said on Thursday the list was going to be presented to the local government minister.
Yes.
And if the president has finished making the appointment and the list is given to the local government minister, he doesn't need more than 24 hours to get the list released. But what did we see yesterday? We just have seen snipers of names being banded around, and he himself said
we can't confirm.
So that is not the official list. So another press conference was held yesterday, and then we are being told that when the list is out, it should be accepted. We were thinking that the list should have been out before Boabian Samuel and the government communication team to come and now talk to people to accept the list. But we start from June. We started hearing very soon.
Okay,
you have made several major allegations. Chief, I think let's be fair to ourselves. Your opinion cannot be fact. Your opinion cannot be fact. And you've made several opinions which you are trying to state as facts. So I'll deal with them hopefully one by one. One is that the common fund releases have nothing to do with the appointments. These are statutory releases.
Yes.
So government budgeting processes have nothing to do with the appointment process. So let us not link the two and make it a fact that you think or you say that it's for this reason that people are not being appointed. There have been regimes where people have been appointed, they are sitting there, no money is coming in. No money is coming in. If you want to go back into the history of local governance, you will see that. It has nothing to do with the appointment process.
It has never taken a year.
It has nothing to do with that. But whether it takes a year or 2 years, the fact of the matter is that the release of the common fund has nothing to do with the appointment.
Okay, but
it has to be clear.
But there have been delays in releasing funds.
Yeah, that's another matter. That's budgetary. That is government, public financial management, statutory issues. There are issues there. We can deal with those issues. But let us not lump them to the appointment process and conclude that it's a fact that we are refusing to appoint people because we are not paying common fund. I think that's too wild an allegation to make. It's not fair. That's the first one. The second one is that the appointment process is not defined by any law or it's not defined anywhere.
But how were we doing it before that it was
every government, every president does it in their own way, according to their discretion. Every government. So far, there isn't a single process. Like I told you, even in this government, in the first term, the process that was taken was different from the second term process. So if a president, experienced by what he saw in his first term, decides to have another process in the second term, yes, you have a right to have an opinion about it. But you can't insist that your opinion is a fact that the president is late or the process is not right or otherwise. The president can choose to have a 3-tier process, at the end of which he still has to satisfy himself that the first 2 layers have worked as they ought to. It's his ultimate responsibility. The president can also sit in his room, and if he knows enough about 216 districts, he can appoint individuals from his room by himself. That is what the law looks like, and it says. So if a president decides to have an inclusive process, let it go on. Let it happen. So it has happened. That does not mean that we fault the president for having 2 layers. Then what is he going to do in the 3rd layer? It is right. Okay, it's an administrative process.
What about the point he raised about the
tenure?
The tenure.
That is the most critical in the local governance system. 1 or 2 court cases have happened. And I think, as we speak, an opposition MP,
MP for
Honorable Dafiamekpo, has a case in the Supreme Court. I think as a society, we must sit back and look at that situation very, very carefully. I hope that case will bring out clarity in the modalities for DC appointments, their tenure, or everything. Because it's very contentious. On the face of it, the Constitution seems clear. Shall be 4 years. Now, what goes into the shall be 4 years? And then the Local Governments Act also says 4 years.
But remember, there are local assembly members who are elected every 2 years as well.
Yeah,
every 4 years.
Yes, but then the unit committee and all those people, they go in every 2 years. So that too makes it a bit complicated.
Yes, but the district chief executive's tenure is stated specifically as 4 years.
Yes.
What does it mean? When it says it's not coterminous of parliament, we have had regimes come in, like he said. If the president he comes in fresh and he issues a letter saying continue to stay in office, act until I get there, does that mean you've been sacked? You're sitting in office. You have access to state resources, you have access to state meetings, you have access to state processes. In which way have you been sacked? But again, he says that halfway through, new districts come in and all that. All I'm trying to say is that the tenure matter is not cut and dried. We've had 8 elections, and virtually every election, there are issues around tenure. Some have been sacked, their period is extended in office, all manner of things happen, particularly when there's change from one party to the other, because then there's suspicion about what they are doing.
That happened during the Mills era,
yes,
where he asked MMDCs to hold on.
And then they wanted to push them out again because there was no trust. You understand? So if there's a misalignment, I think we as a society must deal with it based on the legal situation we have and the historical analysis around that legal situation. It would be very, very unfair to try and impose certain assumptions about legality and otherwise on this particular regime in this particular case because it's happened this way. But the precedents are not clear.
Okay. So, Dr. Fiadomo, whose job would it be to spell out how MMDCEs get into office? Because from what Mr. Boabi and Samoa has told us, there's no clear-cut rule. Depending on situations, the president may then devise an approach. But we need to be sure that the approach is uniform in spite of whatever government is in office, and there must be fairness.
Yeah, thank you. I think that Article 243(1) of Ghana's constitution is clear, that the president should appoint.
Yeah, but that's quite blanket.
Exactly. But if you also look at the Act 936 of the Local Governance Act, it tries to say that the president must consult stakeholders. Yeah. And when we talk stakeholders, we are referring to the political party in government, we are referring to the chiefs and people, we are also referring to CSOs and all that. So the question now is, how did the current president go about it in his first term? Is he also trying to tell us that the way he went about it in the first term, something went wrong, for which reason this time around he's using the processes that he's using? So it is obvious, and the president knew that the MMDCs have 4 years, and that 4 years, some would have expired May this year, and some would have even gone into 2022. But he still went ahead and truncated their term of office. So now what it meant was that the president should have taken his time and allowed those who were supposed to finish their 4 years in May, then processes will begin to have them either re-nominated or new people brought in.
Or he could have also decided that the MMDCs who are done will remain in office, and then I undertake a process for those I'm unsure of.
Exactly.
How about that?
So, for example, the list is not yet out, but if the list is to come out today, and you get to see MMDCs that have been re-nominated, then the question will be, why is it that this person has worked for 4 years, you know his or her capacity, but he now has to go through this rigorous process of 9 months again? Then it would have been an unnecessary process.
But people must be accountable. People must be accountable. They must account for their stewardship.
That is not in doubt. I'm just saying that if I've served in office for 4 years, and then you have a situation whereby you are going to re-nominate me, then you don't lump me together with people who are becoming first-timers for us to go through the whole process again, when you know very well that during my tenure of office, I did very well. Well, you remember, I think, I don't know, John Dramani Mohammed's time, the mayor of Accra. Immediately he won elections, he just re-nominated him, and then the processes began. So for you to have lumped all the 260 districts again together, and now go and re-nominate some of the sitting MMDCs, we think that it will be an unnecessary process. Now the list is not out, so I can't sit here and say that any old MMDC has been re-nominated. But if it comes out and some of them have been re-nominated, then it would have been a needless process to have allowed them to have undergone this same process with first-timers.
Honorable Boabi and Samoa, knowing fully well that maybe some MMDCEs had done well or were going to be re-nominated, why not do that quickly? And then those districts we are unsure of, or the government is unsure of, or the president is unsure of, take them through a process instead of waiting for keeping everybody waiting.
I'm happy he said President Mills nominated the mayor of Accra. What about the other mayors? Was he the only one retained?
I remember then.
Was he the only one retained?
No, but
I remember. Was he the only one retained?
But I remember there were the major
So all the others were retained.
The major cities. So there was Accra, there was Tamale, there was Sekendi Takrady. I think those were the major ones. And Ashanti.
It is clear from our history. Even at a point in time, the Electoral Commission itself held elections to the district assembly late and in thoughts. You remember?
Yes.
Afarajan held elections to the district assemblies late and in thoughts. You see, he broke it up into small pieces. What I am saying is that the facts are clear, that we haven't had and we haven't established clarity
Who is supposed to establish the clarity?
It is all of us, Supreme Court, the government, and how we interpret the rules. Now, when I said that there is no process, he then said, oh, the process is that the president consults, the president appoints, but he consults. What is the consultative process? How do you consult CSOs? How do you consult traditional authorities? How do you consult your party? Consultation is a process. So how do you do that? How do you find the people in the first instance to undergo the consultation process? So let us admit that the law as it stands is not ironclad in terms of the processes. And therefore, there have been slippages. There have been gaps. Every president has done it their own way. And the fact that he did it in one way the first time doesn't mean he can't do it another way the second time. It doesn't mean as a blanket that all that was done in the first instance was wrong. That's why he's changed the process. Every president has done it their way. So that's the first thing I want us to accept and admit, that there is a gap. That if we are going to continue this process, if we are not going to do elections or otherwise, perhaps we'll come back to that later. But right now, I think seeing our experience, the chamber that he heads, the executive presidency itself, Parliament, because Parliament is supposed to give the rules. The Constitution says that Parliament shall enact appropriate laws. 240(2)(a). Parliament shall enact appropriate laws to ensure that functions, powers, responsibilities, and resources are at all times transferred from central government to local government units in a coordinated manner. Parliament shall by law provide for taking of such measures, etc., etc. So Parliament is authorized to establish the rules for governance of the district assembly system. So the framework for determining these things is there. The question is the drive. Who initiates? Who drives it forward?
Then this would be the subsidiary legislative committee in Parliament that would at least initiate a certain process together with the local government committee in Parliament, so that Parliament can then establish the rules.
They will deal with something that's submitted by local government.
The executive.
Yes. So if it's going through, if it's not a substantive law, it's going through as a subsidiary legislation to the Act 936, then the executive, that is the Ministry of Local Government, Rural Development and Decentralization, will forward that legislative instrument to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, who will then look at it and consult a broad range of stakeholders at local governance level, CSOs, chiefs, etc., to determine whether or not. What I'm trying to establish this morning is that that need is there. What I'm trying to establish this morning is that nothing is cut and dry to the extent that we can attack the president on the presumptions that we hold now. What I'm trying to establish this morning is that, yes, there are issues that could have been managed otherwise, in everybody else's opinion, but the authority is with the president. And the bottom line is that we have the list, and it's coming out. Now, once this list comes out, because of the interest that has gone on, I think that it will revive other interests that have gone on before about the structure and nature of local governance. Because this process has been tested in the CRC, the Constitution Review Committee. Question of what we even do. Do we elect them? Do we, this appointment thing, everybody feels it's not satisfactory. Everybody feels it's not satisfactory, to the extent that the last parliament, of which I was privileged to be a part, attempted to amend 243, which governs the appointment process. And then later on, we decided to have a referendum to amend 55, which would enable political parties participate in the election process. There are two things. Yes. 243 to elect would be non-partisan. Yeah. But 55 will allow political parties to participate
which
in
is
it.
what
Which is what they are doing already.
Ghanaians didn't want.
No, we never got to the referendum.
Well,
we didn't get to the referendum.
No, we didn't get it, but the general outlook then was people just wanted an election. 5 people are interested in the role. It doesn't matter which party they belong to.
You have to have a survey of views as well as the functionality of any system you propose if you are going to tweak this thing. 275 people with their own determined agendas voted in there to work with the president. I mean, how does it work out? There are issues.
There are major issues to do with electing every individual on an individual platform to serve one president who may have an ideological cast. It's not that simple. You understand? It's not that simple. So the question was, already the parties are involved. The district assemblies are partisan in everything but name. So formalize that. Bring the parties in. There are issues about, Doc, you can shake your head. But everybody is entitled to their opinion. These are not cast.
No, but to the extent that the president withdrew the process because of public opinion, it's clear that that's not what the Ghanaians wanted.
Not necessarily public opinion. A singular act by the NDC chairman. Because you needed everybody. When we were doing the region, the constitutional thresholds are such that you need everybody to participate. 3/4, 70% voting, and then another 40% voting, and 70% of them having to vote yes. It's not easy. It's a major threshold. It's a major threshold to change that level. It's a major, so you need everybody on board. We were working with the NDC. We were going forward. And it got to the point where the NDC comes out and says, we don't agree anymore. That is their leadership outside Parliament. But inside Parliament, we had agreed and we were working together. Inside Parliament, the MPs had committed to changing Article 55 and 243. They had agreed. That's why we took the processes and a referendum was going on. The president consulted the past presidents about it. The president consulted the past presidents. It was a process that was ongoing until the chairman of the NDC came out, held a press conference, and distanced themselves from the process. The president had no choice but to abort it, because you can't go in without the consensus that everybody involved in the process who has a stake in it is willing to go and test it. So he withdrew it, not because people didn't like it, but the consensus that was critical at political party level from the NDC was fractured, because we had them in Parliament, we didn't have the chairman. You understand? That's how come it was withdrawn. But now, there's an appetite for it. These things that are happening shows that this system cannot go on any longer. It's not a system that is reliable. It's not a system that functions well enough in the interest and opinion of everybody. There are issues.
Okay.
So let us debate the issues unemotionally.
Okay.
Let us debate the issues objectively. And let's not begin to regime align that this regime did it this way and that is the best way and all that. There are issues.
Okay, we've come to the election conversation prematurely, but fine.
Yeah.
I'll let Dr. Fiadomo address it. So
I think,
you disagree with Honorable Boadung on
I think,
how the process got aborted?
Yeah, I mean, it was clear. I think
what was clear?
It was clear that Ghanaians were just not in favor
of that approach.
That approach. Making the local government system partisan, were firmly and vehemently opposed to it.
By who?
Oh, Ghanaians.
Who are the Ghanaians? What was the percentage? Where is it? Who are state the Ghanaians? State what survey and the percentage of Ghanaians?
It doesn't have to just be survey. Anecdotal evidence will show you. When
so,
you listen,
Ofo by himself is Ghanaian.
That is why I'm coming
to. By himself.
The MPP,
if you listen to the monitoring in the public space, people's views in the media and general engagement, you get a sense that people initially who thought that, this was just going to be an election, later on realized that it was going to be partisan. They didn't want that at that level.
We were heading towards a referendum, which would have made it clear.
But
to say that the referendum was aborted because people didn't like it, I don't think it's the accurate position.
It was one of the
no.
Okay, yes, Dr. Fiadomo.
That we want the MPP and the NDC to understand. They are just a subset of the Ghanaian society or population. So for them to think that they can sit in Parliament and have a certain agreement, consult ex-president, and because of that, that is what the majority of Ghanaians want, it cannot be so.
I didn't know your representatives.
If you are a representative, we also have a say. It is not for nothing that Article 55(3) is an entrenched clause. And when something is an entrenched clause, the framers of the Constitution have an understanding that the people or the generality of Ghanaians must be involved. That is why 55(3) is an entrenched clause. So they should have allowed us to go through the process. So if you sit here and say that because the NDC chairman came out and said they were no longer going to support it, who says the fact that the NDC chairman said that all NDC supporters were going to follow? No. If you are NDC members, MPP members, we are believing a certain ideology of the party. That's why we follow, and that is why every 8 years parties have been losing elections. Those who voted for them 8 years ago may think that this time around what they are doing we don't like it, so we are going to the other side. So the political party should not think that the fact that the NDC checking out, then the president should also checking out. Clearly, we were against it, and it was not going to see the light.
That's your opinion.
And sometimes government, they think they are smart. Article 2431 is what allows the president to appoint MMDCs. So if you genuinely want MMDCs to be elected, they should have gone ahead and amend that one first. Then we know that
we want
Ghanaians have been given
partisan basis. That's what we want.
You see?
Yes, that's what we want.
That is what you want,
we
and
must
that is what we too do not want.
Who are you and everybody else who doesn't want it?
Yes.
So are you representing all of Ghana?
No, you
against political parties.
That is the issue.
Yeah.
Parliamentarians should know and understand that they are the representatives of the people. That is why even before they go to parliament and other things, it doesn't happen here. They are supposed to consult us before they go and make laws.
So your view is that they are representatives of the people, but sometimes they go and represent their
They represent themselves. And you see, if that is what they wanted to do, there should have been stakeholder meetings, town hall meetings, and other things done for us to know that I'm MP for Adenta.
Well, the Constitution Review Commission recommended, based on the broad consultations they undertook,
yes,
that Ghanaians wanted election of MMDCs, but the word partisan was not part of it.
Exactly.
And I think that, in a sense, gives you a view of what Ghanaians wanted.
So that is why we wanted, if the president, indeed the government, was committed,
they should have just amended
2431. Then we know that we have been given the opportunity to elect.
That.
Now you come back to us and say that because of the disinterest in the election of maybe assembly members and other things, we want to make it partisan, based on which support us to amend Article 55.3. They would have understood them and would have done that.
Okay.
But they were going to use the back door, amend 55.3 first before they come and amend, which is within the precincts of Parliament for them to do.
I think it's going to continue to be a major
yes,
debate.
Let me also tell you that, look, what is happening now, this delay is deliberate.
Why do you...
I am saying, wait.
No, okay, but
the president is on record.
Your opinion.
Wait, I will tell you why I think it's deliberate. The president is on record. When he went to Tamale, he said that this is the reason why he wanted MMDCs elected. But because he was not given the opportunity, he is doing broad consultation. And so now, no, I'm not saying it's wrong. And if you heard him right, all these things happening, that is why they think election must be done. It is deliberate because now it's as if the president is now wanting Ghanaians to see that he has the power to nominate. But he thinks that he wants elections done. And we are also thinking that we don't want the elections done. So the power to exercise or nominate, I have kept it. And sometimes
there's no more common fund. Take his time and do it.
So what we are seeing, no, the fact, there are two things. The common fund is one. The election is also another reason why there's a deliberate.
As for the common fund, I'm not sure it ties in because
it does.
Because the reason why I raised that is because the finance ministry is the one that undertakes these releases. And there have been instances where members of parliament have filed urgent questions about non-release of statutory funds, not just the district assembly common fund, but also the NHIS fund, also the
we are a very
fund.
responsible civil society. We will not sit here and say things that we do not know. We are telling you that it's a fact. The election is also another reason. So we are having a situation whereby it's like
you think the president is creating an environment.
He's creating an environment
for that opinion,
and we are seeing it to be as if somebody whose son, you've bought football for your son. Your son sent the football to the park. Somebody gives him a tackle that he or he doesn't like. Then he carries his football, away he goes. And that's exactly what the president is doing.
Let me read
so that tomorrow when he comes to tell Ghanaians that you see there was a delay, let's elect, then Ghanaians will follow and elect. And I think that
before we let me clarify the threshold figures.
Yes, please.
I said 40-70. It's 40-75.
Okay, 40-75.
So it says, after the bill has been read the first time in Parliament, it shall not be preceded with further unless it has been submitted to a referendum held throughout Ghana, and at least 40% of the persons entitled to vote voted at the referendum, and at least 75% of the persons who voted cast their vote in favor of passing the bill. So a total of 40% minimum of the eligible voter base must turn out for the referendum. And then out of that number, 75% must vote for the change. That's how you change an entrenched clause.
Okay. Let me read some of your tweets that have come through to me. This one from David Aju. There is no justification for the delay in the appointments of the MMDCs because it's the same government handing over power to itself. This one from Violence. So as the list is coming out, the government also has its favorite people. So this will eventually lead to clashes internally, which will obviously generate to a bigger and dangerous situation. But at all costs, the party has to do something about this. This one from Proverbial Twitter. Honorable Boabing Asamoah shouldn't think that the president's privilege of appointing MMDCs also includes his luxury of time. Isn't he in a hurry anymore, or has he learned lessons that he needs to be calm? This one from Prince Henry. Lawyer Boabing Asamoah and the MPP leadership have already anticipated the acrimony that will come after the names of the MMDCEs are announced. So they have to control their people, hence yesterday's press conference. Aziz from WAI says the delay in announcing the names is a calculated attempt to deny locals their development. And quite a number of you, quite interesting, many people are very interested in this one. Says, yes, we will still wait for an appointed time. It won't be long. The list will be out, and my DC, I'm sure, will be re-nominated. And he is writing from the Chembo district. Thank you very much for your messages. Please, you can tweet more at me at Jifa Bampo. You can also drop them on our Facebook page, also on Twitter. So, Honorable Boabing, I guess...
the interest is high.
The interest is high. So, you mentioned something, but let me rather direct that to Dr. Fiadomo. 216 roles and 1,300 people applied.
Yeah, it's 260. 260 district assemblies we have today.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be 260 when the MPP came, and then they added.
But so how many people are we appointing?
One. We are appointing 260 district
chief executives.
Yes.
Okay.
So far, one has been appointed.
Including the new ones, I think.
So we are waiting for 259.
Okay. But 1,300 people interested in these 200 roles. That's quite phenomenal.
I think Honorable Boabing Asamoah is here. How many people applied to the political party to contest for the 275 seats? These are positions. It's not elective position. The president is supposed to appoint. So it is just
so it's
like
easier.
It was very easy. And if you look at averagely, then we are getting about 4 people per district applying. So clearly, and we have almost all the incumbents are involved. And that's why we think that, look, if the president is so minded and sees that ABC and MMDCs, you did not perform at all, he should have just sacked them completely.
Then so he should have sacked them before the elections ended?
No, before the processes begin, because now they are also part of the process and adding to the numbers. You know very well that these people, there's no way they are going to be appointed. And it should have been made clear to them that, look, don't be part of the process because I was not impressed with your administration, and then I know that I will not apply. It's only I think the KMA mayor, even that one, because of some violent situation, that he decided to, as it were, come out of the process. Apart from him, all the sitting MMDCs also applied. And we have not seen the list yet.
Are you worried more about the numbers of people who applied for the role? Because if we are to go by the list that leaked or the report that leaked, I mean, I must say I was quite impressed by the background of a good number of the individuals. A lot of them have second degrees. I mean, and the minimum seems to be a first degree. I'm not saying that a degree is the ticket for success, but at least they demonstrate a certain kind of knowledge and quite broad-based, a lot in rural development, a lot in development and infrastructure. Some of them are engineers and the like, which seem quite impressive. So don't we need as good a quality as has been demonstrated at that level? And if 1,300 of them have put their hats in the ring, it's not a bad thing. It makes it competitive.
Yeah, it makes it competitive. And we are supposed to have gone through an interview process. And that's why
they were interviewed.
We were through that process.
They went through a vetting process.
But a vetting is interview.
No. And madam, if you want to vet, if you want to vet, no, wait. I'm not saying vetting is not interview.
Okay.
I'm saying that how do you vet somebody twice for the same position?
That is if the person is an incumbent.
Very good.
But we
not
do
even
that,
an incumbent.
But we do that for ministers.
No, how many times are they vetted? Just once.
For ordinary job interviews, sometimes you are interviewed, you write an exam, then you are re-interviewed.
Fine.
What is wrong with that process?
Okay, unless we sit here and say that vetting is interview.
Okay,
and I disagree.
So what's the difference?
But what do you mean by vetting?
When you are vetting somebody, you want to see whether the person has the capacity to manage that particular office or responsibility that you have to assign to that person.
And what's the difference as opposed to an interview process?
The interview, no, the interview can be processes leading to the event actually happening. So you are coming to go by stages. So like you rightly said, you go to the first stage, maybe after the second stage.
Okay, but maybe it's just the nomenclature.
That's why I'm saying that for them to have said vetting twice, I have issues with it, because you cannot vet me for the same, because the credentials that you talked about is the same thing I sent to the regional level. It doesn't change when I go to the national level. And that is why we think that there is a deliberate plan to delay the process. That's why we are going through all these processes that we are undergoing.
Why not give the president the benefit of the doubt that maybe I need to be thorough this time around, not because I want to put my favorites in there, but the truth of the matter is I have a 4-year tenure. I have things I must deliver before the end of 4 years. And so I need to be sure that the individuals getting into these roles will deliver that at the local level by the end of 2024.
My dear, that is not, we are not faulting the president, even though we think the delay is unnecessary. We are not taking away the power of the president to do proper due diligence and nominate.
But it should not be on his own time.
Yes. You see, what is happening is because the constitution is not clear as to the timing for the president to do the nomination. That's why any president can come and do it. Because in 2017, the same president told Ghanaians that he was the first president in the history of the Fourth Republic to have nominated MMDCs in record time.
Yeah, so
he has got the right to say that. No, he was right. And we congratulate Nanado for that. But if they say Nanado has taken 9 months and still counting has not nominated.
Say it's 4 months.
It's not 4 months.
And you see, that is the first time he's still in charge, and he has.
So clearly, it means that somebody who could do it in 3 months and now 9 months has still not done it. Now I don't know how we should describe him.
Okay, but Honorable Boabing, I was raising the point about 1,300 people interested in these roles. What also piqued my curiosity when I looked at that document, even though it's true, there's no way to really authenticate it. There are so many die-in-the-wool party people in these roles. Why? Is that right?
Against which standard do you say it is not right?
Oh, I didn't say it's not right.
Yeah, when you say it's not right, it reverses the assumption that it is wrong.
No, but okay, so maybe right is not a fair word, but is that the way it should be?
That is why there is still a contention around that role at local level. From a broad base, after 8 elections, clearly,
because these are constituency chairmen,
people are realizing,
executives, and
people are realizing the value of that role. It is clear. People are realizing the value of that role at local level. They are the direct representatives of the president. They are development change agents at that level. Okay? Now, whether you call it an interview or you call it a vetting, there are dimensions to this process other than just academic qualifications and experience, right? There is political ideology involved. There is, when you begin to talk about ideology, then that means there are certain dimensions to programming, policy, preferences, direction, because one group in a certain ideological sense may like to do things a certain way. Another group may like to do it another way. You understand what I'm trying to say? So there is a social dimension, there is a local context to it, stakeholder dimensions, and stakeholder management. It's all part of the ideological process. You understand? So this is not something that you can do just by looking at who has the best academic credentials. That is very critical.
The person must have some grassroots appeal.
And also a sense of politics.
That's the local politics.
Exactly.
A certain self-awareness.
You cannot avoid politics in this matter. You must also have a sense of politics. So aligning or being aligned with a political party already and having the credentials that meet the basic academic qualifications ought not to disqualify you because you are associated with a political party. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think you ought to be disqualified because you are associated with a political party. It gives you that extra dimension. It makes you understand the dynamics at local level and otherwise. But it's not everybody.
Okay, but there's a concern that, and I don't want to say this in a I don't want it to sound disrespectful.
Yes.
But there's a sense that these are just jobs for the boys. It's political patronage, and so if you are not the favored one, you don't get it.
Not really. Let's look at the larger picture. We voted, didn't we? We voted for the MPP. Was that jobs for the boys? We voted for the MPP because we prefer the MPP's program. Right? So if the MPP is implementing its program, who else is best placed to help the MPP implement the program? Those who believe in that program. So I don't see where you go and find a neutral or somebody who is not necessarily off your stock.
So the person necessarily, yes, will be a member of the NPP.
Not necessarily. It's an advantage.
Okay.
Yes, it's not a requirement, but it is a clear advantage because that program has been voted for. That ideological inclination has been voted for. Association with the program and the ideology is useful. It will help you. You believe in it. You have a passion for it. It will help you to advance the aims of the president, whose program has been endorsed in the general election within the local area. It will help you. But it is not a requirement. You are not asked to be a party person. Anybody else can get in there. It's an advantage.
Really? I want you to show me.
Oh yeah, but the list you saw.
I want you to show
the list you saw.
Somebody
the list you
who is
saw.
not a party member.
When the list comes out.
Purported neutral.
When the list comes out, we test that. We test that.
Okay, no problem.
But it is. I am saying that being aligned to the party, being a party member and seeking that position is not wrong. Because it is not only about academics.
Yes, of course.
It's also about a belief in a certain ideological stance. And that has been endorsed by the people who have elected the president. The president is supposed to deliver for the people who elected him. He needs people who appreciate his viewpoint, his way, and those people to help him at that level.
Okay. Dr. Fiano, any final point quickly on that before we take a break?
Admittedly, it is not an MPP. This has been happening NDC time, MPP time. So you see, but the propaganda of the MPP is what has brought this problem. when I saw, seriously, when I saw that the list of people who were interviewed or vetted, which has been given to the president, which is supposed to be confidential information, was leaked.
It's not out yet. What has been leaked is not the president's report. You cannot confirm that.
No, I'm not talking about the list of MMDCs. So those who had to pass through the vetting process and comments that were made.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
That is the one I'm referring to. That is the propaganda that has, because the fact of the matter is that more often than not, this MMDC position is the job that is left for the party.
Are you saying that the NPP elements in the party deliberately leaked it just so that we will see the caliber of people that are going?
No, for me, that was the National Vetting Committee's report, which was headed by the minister, given to the president. That was what was leaked, and I don't see why that. You see, that is why it fits into the deliberate plan to delay the whole process. Every time, every time we are giving something to talk about,
because it's a very sensitive matter in governance.
So how did it come into the public domain?
Yeah, but it's been leaked. Cabinet papers have been leaked before in this country.
Exactly.
So it needs to be investigated. You don't know whether it's being investigated.
Wait,
so
but whether it's being investigated or not, it has leaked.
It is.
And we have all seen it. And I'm saying that the question that you ask, for me, is not too much of an issue, because I believe the NDC time it will happen. All those who became MMDCs, they are dying the wood NDC members. So if MPP members are becoming DCs, I don't think there's any problem.
The only cure is if we decide to elect on non-partisan basis.
If we decide to elect on partisan basis, they will be given the opportunity to select people that we think have the competence to do the work.
To do what work? In whose interest?
Okay,
the work is private. Okay, if the president says I support private sector, and you elect somebody who doesn't support private sector, how does the work go on?
Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back. And when we come back, we will ask about how we can ensure that these nominees deliver not just for the government, but for the people that they're serving. We'll be right back.
So, it's just the two of us. Can't beat this.
Beat this?
Oh, hey.
You can't beat the Champions League,
Europa League, La Liga, Serie A,
and the Premier League.
All 380 matches of it, with its own dedicated Super Sport channel, my G.
Get a HD decoder, dish kit, and 1 month of DSTV access for only 169 Ghanaian cedis.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Graphic Communications Group Limited and Grader, in partnership with Orano Projects and Consults, brings to you Real Estate Housing Fair Experience, happening on Thursday 23rd to Saturday 25th September 2021 at the National Theatre from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Do you want to rent, build or buy a house? Then don't miss out on this one-stop housing mall where all your questions and housing needs will be answered. Attractions, super deals and offers from your favorite real estate developers, super packages from your favorite mortgage and home financiers, beautiful pieces for your home furnishing and decor from your favorite furnishing and decor brands, durable and affordable housing input supplies from your favorite brands. Oh yes, everything you ever needed to get all your housing needs fixed, all at one stop on Thursday 23rd to Saturday 25th of September at the National Theatre. See you there. This fair is endorsed and supported by, for enquiries call 0507 067988 or 0202 825557.
Boy, me, I tell you all that. Make hands are not him. Everyone in the team, we give her money to evening. He dey call me, I dey run come. I be the guardian, so he be my offset. He be the bastard, he go be my mess. I get the Coca-Cola body, say he be my Pepsi. Round on your hoop, bro. Down your hoop, bro. But I'm messing up, call me park up.
and fan? Oh yes! Ungalicious Ghana Cooks Family Battle Edition is back with a bang. The country's most sensational cooking show where families face off in the fiercest culinary battles of their life. This time, we're looking for a team of two, a cook and a helping hand, to battle it out with their contenders for the ultimate share of 100,000 Ghana cedis total prize. Are you that family? Friends maybe? Then pick a team of two, the cook and the helping hand. All you need is one, a picture of your team with any of the Onga variants. Two, a picture of your unique finished food and your team name. Send these details to 0551 411 122 and stand the chance of winning big from our 100,000 Ghana cedis prize pool.
Entries end on the 7th October 2021.
Ungalicious Family Battle. Do it with your family.
Ungalicious Ghana Cooks. Coming soon on TV3.
This Saturday on Celebrity Fun Time.
Hi everyone, you are watching the most celebrated TV game show called Celebrity Fun Time. Because on this show, it's all fun, excitement, and music. Who painted the Mona Lisa?
Yeah, for real.
Celebrity Fun Time this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by
This week on the Ladies Circle, all you need to know in your 20s as you look forward to your 30s.
It's fact, it's science. As a woman, you have a biological clock. If for you having children is something that's on the radar, don't rush it.
You would have to learn how to keep personal information to yourself.
I got married, I think, just before I hit 30.
Are you feeling anxious? Are you worried about getting to the third floor of your life? Or maybe some tips from some of us experienced one will calm your nerves.
I could just be talking to a guy and I'm like this and I'll rest my hand on your shoulder and everything, but that cost me a lot.
Wait.
Yeah! Sila, makeup. You should have made me say it. Make sure to join us this Saturday and every Saturday right here on TV3, 6 p.m. on the Ladies Circle.
Brought to you by
Yaz Sanitary Pad, Vodafone, GTP, still timeless.
Woodine,
Cowbell, our milk. Let's Go Farming. Show Saturdays at 4 p.m. on TV3.
Ready, camera? Perla Mundi is a renowned Ghanaian media personality and women's advocate. She is passionate about social issues and takes exceptional interest in telling life-changing stories.
Can you believe through this Ababoya, I've been able to complete University of Cape Coast.
Welcome to Asinkushia. This is actually the cleanest city in Ghana.
Life is not a competition. Keep to the pace.
Action!
Welcome to the Day Show, guys!
The Day Show unravels life-threatening stories.
Before they can steal more babies, they need dead bodies to be showing parents that your baby is dead.
The passion, the fun, and sometimes not so very pleasant moments.
Yes, I have suicidal thoughts and homicidal thoughts.
Tell your story to inspire. After all, everyone has got one.
The Day Show with Perla Mundi now shows on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and repeats on Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
You're welcome back to the key points. Let me read some of your text messages. What I read earlier were from Twitter. This one from Pake Elembele says, "Hi Jifa, why did it take the government a long time to name MMDC is it not the same MPP that keeps telling Ghanaians that they have the men, yet there is this delay? This has really delayed the free flow of development projects and key decisions that would affect the folks in various districts and municipal and metropolitan assemblies. In reality, NPP has gotten 4 more, but there seems to be some lackadaisical movement in terms of sharing the national cake equally and broadly throughout the country. This one from Baba Abu in Tema. The unending delay in the nomination and approval of the MMDCs for the president's second term is a deliberate attempt to skip the payment of district assembly common funds. Please, these funds are earmarked funds, and so they're supposed to be submitted or provided to the assembly through the Ministry of Finance. I think we just need to find out from the Ministry of Finance why there's that delay. Ismaila Ali says, good morning. Honorable Asamoah should know that the 4 years mandate from the MMDC started together with the presidential mandate. Well, we are told by law that it's not coterminous with the president. The president has taken certain decisions. This one from Bosu, it says, I think the government is delaying the MMDC's appointments for reasons best known to the party. Aziz from Wa, the delay in announcing the MMDC is an indication of a lack of direction for local governance. When are these MMDCs or when are these assemblies going to confirm the appointees, since the year is almost ending? In fact, this delay is unfair and unfortunate for our local community development. And this one from Prince Henry, I can say that there will be acrimony from the day the names will be released because of the situation that some were expecting. Lawyer Boabing Asamoah and the entire NPP leadership have seen the acrimony, and that is why they held their press conference yesterday. Thank you very much, all of you, for your messages. So, Honorable Bobby, I'll let you start off because a lot of the messages refer to that. So I think there's a third layer that somebody has mentioned, which we didn't address. So the list will come out, but they still have to be voted for by the assemblies. And I know that sometimes that takes time in some areas where they don't get the full 3/4 of the assembly votes, and then they have to go one more time. So let's just say this year is lost. We have only 3 years then for these MMDCs to actually work.
Jifa, I first of all want to appreciate the sense of urgency,
the interest
that your viewers from the text messaging and all that. Yesterday, one of the themes in the press conference we held was to appeal to all stakeholders involved in the confirmation process to work together swiftly and have the confirmation processes done as quickly as possible in order to avoid any further in quotes delays. So we are conscious that where we are, that process is there. It has to be gone through, but that is where the local people who are anxiously waiting also have the opportunity either to quickly curtail the process or to prolong it based on their receptivity to the nominee or otherwise. So we are pleading and urging local stakeholders to work together so that the approval processes go as quickly as possible. We can't predict.
Okay, but I've seen instances in the past where it's not even the assembly that is against, but the traditional authorities. And I don't want to mention the particular district, but there's a district in Accra that I'm learning that the chiefs are gradually opposed to the individual who it seems may be appointed there because they feel he's not an indigene of the area. How are you going to deal with that?
You see
that's one among others.
You see another criteria that has popped up, indigene. And we're talking about qualification. How do you qualify? And now the layer is in the person must be an indigene necessarily or not.
Or not. Well, this is a cosmopolitan area, so I think that becomes tricky.
Yeah, it all goes to show that the elements that go into selecting the person in the current structure that we have are very, very complex. It's not a straightforward matter. And consultations, the influences, gender, All those things.
Oh, good, you've mentioned gender.
Yes, all those things matter. So,
I understand there are only 37 women or so.
Having waited this long, patiently waited this long, we are hoping, we believe that the wait will be shortened through very swift approval processes. We want the approvals to go smoothly and well.
Dr. Fiadomo, do you have any predictions of, disagreements? Some MMDCs may have to go for voting a second, third time.
Yeah, as for that one, if it has to happen, it will happen. I've been an assembly member before, so it's also a cuckoo season for the assembly members. But because we have waited impatiently for the list to come out, we will appeal to the honorable assembly members that if the person has to be approved, they should just waive off this second attempt approach and just give him the first time. But if the present nominee doesn't sit well with them and they think that he or she cannot perform, they have every right to reject the person. But where there's always a problem is when the present nominee is rejected the first time. When it's rejected, he or she is rejected, then some way, somehow, the Electoral Commission and the government appointees get to know who voted for and who voted against. And when that happens, that's why we saw what happened in Takwa, where a whole regional minister could use the police to prevent some assembly members from voting. So we don't want those things to be happening because we have waited for far too long, and this 2021 development at the assemblies have lagged so badly. As we speak, the assemblies have turned into banking institutions. Since January up to now, property rates are being collected, business operating permits, lorry park to market tools on a daily basis. The monies are sitting with the assembly because we do not have functional chief executives for those monies to be appropriated. And that is why we have issues with the delay. So we are pleading with the relevant stakeholders. We want to support the government that if they have to confirm them, they should go ahead and confirm so that we don't have this kind of delays that happened in the past. But the fact still remains that we will be surprised to have many of these agitations because having taken 9 months, they say when the lady is taking a bath and is delaying, it means she's putting herself in there. So we want to believe that having waited for 9 months, we could have even given birth to a new baby. When the baby comes out, that baby should be treated in a very courteous manner so that they should confirm them so that we'll get the job done. We want development for our country, and that is all where our interest actually lies.
Any competitive districts for you?
Oh, normally, what happens, we will say it here. There are some aspirants who like to pay what we call losing bonus. They know that if the president nominee is rejected twice, there's no way that person can come back again. So I know that I'm the second in line should the first person be rejected. So we want to plead with the assembly members not to get involved in this, how do we call it, losing bonus thing, because we want development for our country, and that is the special appeal we make. So there is no competition when one person is named. It is that person who has to now go to the assembly members and get him or her confirmed. But there are always people behind who are ready and willing to pay more than what the nominee is even ready sometimes to even...
there are people, there are backers.
Yeah, there are backers who want to pay more than the nominee so that once he is rejected, then it can be my turn. But we'll plead that we shouldn't go this time around on that tangent because the baby is born.
I think this is one thing the two of you agree on in this whole discussion. But Honorable Boabeng, there's a concern about accountability of the MMDCs. What's, in as much as the party has had a strong role in this process, how can we have the MMDCs accountable to the people? Because a lot of the time, it seems as if they also go in there with an agenda, which, though related to the government's agenda, is also to elevate or promote themselves.
It's not that easy for an individual to take on an entire institution for their personal benefit alone. Because, don't forget, the assemblymen are elected. And here men includes women. So the assembly members are elected from within the communities. And they are in the communities and they work directly with the community members. Their future depends on being re-elected or otherwise, their performance. And so they are part of the overall accountability processes. So if the assembly will do well, their temperature at that level will show. If the assembly is not doing well, it will impact them as well. So they have the General Assembly structures, they engage the MMDC regularly, and they make their views known. The other tier of accountability, of course, the Regional Coordinating Council, which also keeps an eye on happenings in every district, municipality, or metropolitan area. So it may not be entirely satisfactory. As for me, I'm a total convert to accountability through the ballot. And one thing we haven't really interrogated well, and we should, is that if we were to vote along party lines, it would mean that we will mature as a democracy because every party will have an interest in policy and governance. Because there are areas where naturally certain parties will be strong. The NDC will be strong in a certain, MPP will be strong. So even when the national leadership changes to a different party, at local level, you will still have another party being part of the governance process. There will be more buy-in. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, if we were to vote in partisan ways, Region A will have MPP, Region B will have NDC, and Party A is in power. Even when Party A changes to Party B, Region A will still likely have Party A people in charge at the local level, which means there is more consultation, there is more togetherness. Yeah. So it will bring down the heat in governance, the winner takes all approach, where even if you have 49% of the electorate behind you, once the election is over, you are shut out of governance entirely.
So for you, that's why the election on a partisan level
is very important.
It matters.
It's critical to break the winner takes all, remove the heat from policy making, and get a buy-in of all of us. It will also enable the very small parties to grow, because there will be localities where they prefer the smaller parties, and then they will also have a presence in governance. And most governance is local.
Okay. One of the things I've seen in this document I refer to again is about the roles of these MMDCEs in supporting the party, particularly ahead of the next election, where I know the MPP is strongly talking about breaking the 8.
That's within their discretion.
Oh, is that so?
That is not official. That's not an entitlement.
It's part of the report.
It's part of their report.
You see where some of the recommendations made, they will say this particular person, he works so hard for the party and he can even be the parliamentary candidate for our party. I saw the one, I have an interest in Keta. So the Keta MC, if you look at his recommendation, they say that he did very well for the party and they can use him as the parliamentary candidate for the MPP in 2024. So it tells us that you are nominating or appointing this person just because you want to win.
Well, one of the reasons.
So that is why I felt bad when that report came out. It was a disaster. It's not good for the government at all. That letter of recommendation and all that were said, when they even questioned people's qualification and all things, for it to become public.
And those who are said to have caused disunity
and all those things. It was a bad one, and I think that if they have to investigate and deal with whoever brought that list out, they have to do it. And for me, one of the reasons why the MMDCs are not accountable to the people, I think the constitution is also a problem. Because it requires the regional minister to be the one reporting on the MMDCs, the activities, to the president every 3 months. So I sit here as an MMDC, and the only person I want to impress will be the regional minister, because if I don't, my chances of staying in office is it will not be too good for me. So clearly, they are now being accountable to the appointing authority and not necessarily about the people. And that's why we think, as for the election of MMDC, it has become a necessary evil now. But the partisan politicians, they should tell us what we have seen out of the 1992 up to today, the partisan voting we have been doing in terms of development. And what we see is that when we allow partisanship at the local level, it will affect the development, because the development at the local level mainly is about maybe construction of gutter. This place is bushy, they have to clear it and all that. So if you now have a situation whereby we see that this community voted for NDC, NPP, CPP, then the chief executive sits there and he tells that it's this community that voted for me. So the resources must go to this area, because the possibility of being re-elected will come from these people and not from this particular. That is why we don't want partisanship, but we need the elections. They should allow us, the way we go about electing the honorable assembly members, we can use the same processes to elect the MMDCs, and they should be accountable to us, the people, and not to the regional minister or to the president. The president ultimately is even accountable to us. So how is it that the local person who is supposed to be representing the president is not rather accountable to us, and he is now accountable to either the regional minister or indeed the president? So that is why, and that's why recently we saw a regional minister writing to MMDCs to pay money for his
but that is not, he's denied that it happened. No, we can't, we have to be fair. He's denied it.
Way to authenticate
let's be fair.
Because it was put on social media, but I can't be sure.
Yes, he's denied it. I heard him, he's denied it. No, he's not here.
That's what we do to ourselves in this country.
No,
I'm not saying he's here.
Somebody, but I don't know.
Yes, I agree. But I'm just saying that those are the things that are happening. And some of these things have been happening. And when I saw that letter, I didn't like it, because if you document some of these things, it will cause disaffection for the minister or anything. So when it comes, they will come and deny. But the person who signed, is he or is he not an official of the RCC? Sometimes when we sit here and we come and do blanket denial, you the media.
I don't know. Yes, I haven't delved into it, so I cannot.
We are interested in local governance. So when we see such
things, not be right. On that specific example,
I am saying that when we see such things, we try to also investigate. And we have it on authority.
Yes, but
that the person who signed the letter is a staff,
but not on this platform. Okay. It's not.
If you say you shouldn't be raised here, fine.
Yes, but this is just to dovetail into the argument. The minister denied. So
I have not heard him deny.
Yes, so
the argument we need to go and get that.
We are using this one as a supportive to say that.
So let me let Mr. Boabe make his point. We've come to
MMDCs are not accountable because of where they are coming from.
The first is that already the system you say we should follow is partisan. The district assembly members who are being elected, they are being elected on partisan lines already.
It's hidden.
It is hidden. That's what's happening. The second thing is that the freedom to determine which community to develop will not exist, because it will become very competitive. Entirely. Very, very competitive. If you sit in there and you don't do well, the next constituency does well, you are in trouble. If the next constituency is from party A and you are in this constituency from party B and you don't do well, that the example from party B will overwhelm you and they will take over your constituency. So you can't afford to discriminate in development. As for that, let's put it aside, because this community voted against me, I won't develop it. It's not possible. If you are running a road through a community, you can't chop it up. I get here, I stop, I cross and continue. You can't do that.
Okay.
But it is a fact that partisanship is at play in the assemblies. Why did Edu Nketia stand up and say that, oh, this election we have won the majority of the seats? Have you forgotten? We've tried to avoid MPP and DC in this discussion.
Yes, we have.
In fact, we have tried to avoid the examples of MPP and DC. But Edu Nketia actually publicly announced that this election we have won a majority.
So that's why we must end it. Politics is a complex business, especially at the local level. But we'll talk more about this when the list finally comes out. I want to thank our guests, Honorable Boabe Asamoah, Comms Director for the NPP, former MP for Adenta, and also Dr. Richard Fiadomo, who is the President of the Chamber of Local Governance. Very interesting conversation, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
And we'll be back with our second topic about football, looking for a new Black Stars coach.
Europa League has found a new home on GoTV. Join teams from Europe's best leagues as they battle it out in a league like no other. Brace yourself for fierce city rivalries, intense players, and wildly competitive clubs as Europe's finest go toe-to-toe for the Europa title. And it's all happening on GoTV. Get and stay connected to GoTV to get home ground advantage for the brand new addition to GoTV's football
Straight
family.
down the middle, absolute stunner.
GoTV, love it.
Introducing Nestle Milo All-in-One Nutrimix. The goodness of malt, milk and cocoa in Milo, and even more milk. Just add to water and enjoy the perfect cup of winning energy.
Milo.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the...
Tell you what the master so. Nan so kapra with the gang do. Siki any be with savings. Yeah, best yes sika yeah casket too. No holiday. Charlie with the grind every day. So you need but you see for sika criminal but you to go so be here pay. You be clear ni akwa bantia ko chin this sika be fie. You be clear ni akwa bantia ko chin this sika be fie. You be sika be fie. Free sa busia o fie. Yeah, my search for the door makeup. What's your name? What's your name? When you see card, I be hard them talk. Yeah, I know I search your boy. Midnight I found the boy. What's the credit? Watch your boy. Hey, sick I won't take be a boy. Hit it, my name grind. And this how we go fine. Next time we go be so nice.
Who joins the final bus to the finale? It's been weeks of cultural exposition on Ghana's most beautiful. The ladies gave their best performances, grew through the race, and this week, the ladies throw their last shot at selling tourism in their various regions. Who makes it to the final 6 is the last eviction. To secure that final spot for your contestant, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app on Google Play Store or the App Store and vote. GMB comes to you live this Sunday only on TV3. Audience strictly by invitation. GMB 2021, rediscovering true beauty. GMB 2021 shows Sundays at 8 p.m. and repeats Fridays at 3 p.m. and is sponsored by Lavon's Tomato Mix, Camel now from Kerex, Freedom from Casaprecon, GTP, Darling Lemon Drink, Airtel Tigo's Big Time Bundles, Lufat, Deluxy Acrylic Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, and Napa Mackerel,
Geisha, Close Up,
Ayo Insurance, Fan Milk Nutri-Day Yogurt, and supported by
The Saturday mornings will never be the same again.
We will bring you the best mix of sports and lifestyle content on Warm-Up Plus.
We will interview exciting professionals from different fields of endeavor, including sports and fitness. Give fans an opportunity to show their passion and preview upcoming games.
Discuss what's trending in the world of sports and entertainment, give you lifestyle tips, serve you music, exercise, dance, laugh, and have an absolute ball on TV each Saturday.
So whether you're a fan or you just like fun,
you will absolutely love Warm-Up Plus.
Warm-Up Plus shows live Saturdays at 10 a.m. only on TV3.
The world needs strong women. Women who will lift and build others. Powerful women that make a change. Not even the worst pandemic will stop us from bringing you the best of the best.
Behind every successful woman is herself. That is why every week I bring you women from all walks of life on Today's Woman. These women have strived and they have achieved. They will motivate you. They will inspire you. But most importantly, they will share their success secrets with you. Join me every Sunday on this journey with me, Michelle Lato, on Today's Woman right here on TV3.
Today's Woman shows Sundays at 3 p.m. and repeats Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Well, it's all about the quest for a new Black Stars coach. And when it comes to football, many have demonstrated that they will still ride or die with the Black Stars. So our football crazy citizens have been talking in mass proportions following the sacking of Black Stars head coach C.K. Akono. Now, reaction to the GFA's decision has been mixed, but many have been curious about what rabbit the GFA will be pulling out of its hat now that the 72-hour timeline to decide on a new coach has elapsed. Now, former Black Stars coach Serbian Milovan Rajevac seems to be the favorite for the job. And although 2 Ghanaian coaches in a row haven't delivered on expectations, many Ghanaians remain unsure if Milo is the coach we need at this time. Now, today, more expert perspectives on this, and I'm joined in the studio by Vincent Soa Odote, former MP for Dade Kotopon, former Deputy Communications Minister, and a former MD for Accra Hearts of Oak, but he's a current board member of Hearts of Oak. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jifa.
Great. And
nice to see you again.
Yes, good to see you too. And Michael Otieje, GM News and Digital here at MG, has 2 decades of sports journalism under his belt. Mike, thanks for joining me today as well.
My pleasure.
Great.
Good seeing you again.
Good. So many are still talking about what's going to happen with the GFA. So let me come to you, Honorable Odote. For you, the 72-hour timeline has elapsed. Milo seems to be the favorite. For you, do you think it's a done deal, or there are still other consultations?
Well, first of all, thank you, and let me say good morning to my listeners, especially my Phobian family, and then my constituents are Dade Kotopon. Jifa, I think I would rather say that I don't know. I can't say whether it's a done deal. I really don't want to get into it. But what I'll say is that I think it's a step in the wrong direction. I think that when you look at Milo's performance, his football philosophy, and when we look at what he has done since he left the Black Stars, and where we think that as a country, what we aspire to be, I think it's a very risky thing the FA is going by Milovan Rajevac. So we hope to we live to see whether it's Rajevac or someone else. But to me, I think it's a risky choice. I don't know the considerations, the terms of reference given to the committee. I don't know what the bigger considerations in the whole paradigm, what we call in these days here, football talk about the project. But that really the criteria that brings in Milovan Rajevac. But I think that it's a risky thing. If I were on the panel, I think a lot of people are putting the cart before the horse and looking at financial obligation. No, I'm sure you know that's in management. You take the technical evaluation before you come to financial. On my paper, Rajevac could never be even shortlisted on my technical evaluation. I think it's a risky thing, and I hope that my colleagues at the FA will take a deep breath if they're not taking the decision already, and look at what is good for this country. And for once, let's make sure we take the decisions which are sustainable, which will make us competitive, and make sure that we are able to get back to where we think, not where we know we should be in the scheme of global football.
The reason why I asked about other consultations is that ultimately it's the state that will pay the coach. So do you get a sense from your friends in government that they would want to pay Milovan Rajevac, or they're willing to pay, but maybe not for him?
To be honest with you, I haven't really, I don't have any insight into and any links into all these things from both the government side and the FA. I'm just looking at it purely from someone who's been in football and someone who has taken a position of over close to 2 decades. That the football leadership has been poor. We failed as a football thing to really manage with the science. We manage with sentiment and shortcuts and everything. If we were paying CK Akono $25,000, I believe that if we have to pay, from what I'm hearing, $45,000, $50,000, my experience in football, that if we take our time, we'll get somebody who will give us value for money, who would be able to steer the affairs of the football, the Black Stars, within the broad uncompetitive paradigm of football in this country, within the broad poor structures in the country, within the broad poor strategy of the football in this country, I believe with 50,000 US dollars, if we take our time and make sure that we take the decisions which based on science, facts, and not on sentiment, and learning our lessons in the past 2 decades since since Ben Kofi, I believe that we'll be able to get a coach who will give us real value for money, who will give us the space to be able to, in the medium term, put our house in order domestically and put us back in the competitive pedal.
Mike, most people know that really what Ghanaians want is to do well at the African Cup. We've not had an African Cup win since the 80s. Many want to top what we achieved at the World Cup. Are we in the right space to do that, in spite of whichever coach we get?
Well, I think you have to naturally look at it from within the perspective of which coach comes in. Success within football, and the Honourable former MP and my former Wachi partner makes a very brilliant point about how you must situate this within the science and the technicalities and everything of it. But football success is a very complicated thing. It requires bringing deep knowledge of various fields. Then you merge them. Then people think the technicalities is the biggest part. It's just an aspect of it. You've got to manage player troubles. You've got to manage player egos. So that's psychology straight away. You've got to manage media exposure. That's communication. Then there's the technicality. I look at it from within a certain perspective. I think that we have enough to remain very competitive on this continent. I think the argument that we don't have enough talent to be competitive is absolute nonsense. I have become convinced this week in the Champions League, there was a Ghanaian player who was playing for FC Sheriff in the Champions League making his debut, and a lot of people had heard of him. People were amazed to see in the Paris Saint-Germain game when Messi and the rest played, and Neymar, that one of the best players was Kamal Soa, who is a Ghanaian, who is the record buy for Club Brugge. Kudus is back for Ajax. Partey will play maybe this weekend. There is Daniel Amate. We started a game against Ethiopia with 3 players who start games in the English Premier League. So I am unconvinced by the talent argument. I also think the Honourable former MP makes a brilliant point about management of the game. And I think it can become significantly better than it is now. The technicality has been a problem. I can understand the sentimental attachment to Milo van Rijvaart, and I situate it purely within the numbers. So this is a man who in 3 major tournaments with the Black Stars took the team to 2 finals. That was the local, the championship for players based in your local leagues, Chan in 2009 in Ivory Coast. Then he took the Black Stars to the final of the 2010 Nations Cup. Then he took Ghana to within a penalty kick of the of the World Cup. In the modern era, since we last won the Nations Cup, no coach has had as much impact on the Black Stars. So that's the sentimental value. Now, when you are a manager and you are hiring, you must balance sentiment with current value. The current value says it's not a good choice. The current value says this is a man who was sacked from Thailand in 2019. This is a man who has done pretty little since then. We did an artwork that spoke to how many, what he's been up to in terms of jobs since then. And it was 2 matches in charge of Algeria. It was the sack with Thailand.
El Hadley of Saudi Arabia.
Yes, and then he was in charge of Qatar. It's just not exuded.
It's not a good record that he comes back to Ghana with.
Yes, but in football, sentiment is a strong thing.
But knowing that he doesn't come back to Ghana with this record, certainly the government has a right to say, well, we don't want him, GFA, go back and do another job.
You know the way I hear people say this a lot, but the way the relationship about who pays the coach and who is fairly simple. The Honourable MP will know this. It's almost an unwritten rule that even though government is paying,
the decision lies with the FA.
Yes. So there will be certain high-level policy decisions that's made with significant government influence. So, for instance, the last time when Kwesi Appiah was relieved of his job, the government said, we think it would be better to have a Ghanaian lead this team. So effectively, the choice of who to employ became limited by government's decision to want a local coach. And that's sentiment, I personally think. I say that you have consultants in economics, energy, every field. You don't bother about their passport, but when it comes to football, we seem to think that it must be one, that you must carry a passport to be able to do that job. So that's where it ends. I'm not sure there will be a lot of... Also, by the time the decision is announced, it means that there's significant consultation in the background. So I don't think that Milovan's name in the mix came by accident. It's come because there's been consultation and everybody agrees in the background that this is potentially a good choice. My understanding is that it's been held back by complications over who the assistant will be. So there are suggestions that it could be Otoado, which feeds
He's
into...
coaching,
He's assistant coach at
in
Dortmund.
Germany. Yeah.
Played for the Black Stars. Very good gentleman. But apparently he is unsure whether he must quit that job and come and do this.
Knowing the dynamics that we have to deal with here.
But a lot of countries are beginning to realize that you can't have your best football talent stop what they are doing at club level to work for you full-time if they are not full-time managers. So there are a lot of national team assistant coaches who work part-time. So if Ivory Coast want Kolo Touré to help them now, Kolo Touré is an assistant at Leicester. He's not going to leave that Leicester job to go and sit in Ivory Coast and work. So that's potentially a similar arrangement. I understand there was an approach to George Boateng. He was born in Ghana but lived in Holland his whole life, played for Holland. He's coach of the Aston Villa under-23 team. But he said unless he's the head coach, he's not quitting his job to come. And when I look at all these options, I think the right choice is allowing ourselves to panic. We are panicking. We feel like the World Cup is such an important target that in our mind we absolutely don't get it wrong. So we are unprepared to try people we clearly have a certain level of interest in, which is a George Boateng or an Otoado. We are unprepared to wait a bit longer, and like he said, I've heard people say that to get a top-class coach you need $100,000. Absolute lies.
Well, I like, is it Renard? Yes.
But you see, the truth of the matter is this, that Renard is in charge of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I don't dispute that. I'm just saying.
Saudi Arabia qualifies for the World Cup on a regular basis. He gets paid very good money.
So if you want him, you must top that.
He will not even leave to come. The guy is on maybe like $100,000 a month. The perks, the quality of life. You know, it's also there's a lot of, I'm sorry to say this, but in this period there's a lot of complicated journalism, to put it nicely. So there's a lot of things out there remote from the truth. The bottom line is that there is a certain agreement at a certain level, but I also know that in football a lot of things can change. Over the weekend, something may happen. Somebody may have a new awareness. A new coach becomes available. Chris Hughton became available at Nottingham Forest. He's half Ghanaian.
Yes, he's half Ghanaian.
You understand?
But I understand for somebody like him, if he's coming with a full team, 7 people or so.
Every coach goes with a full team.
Yeah, so
I mean, these days, even radio presenters move with full teams. Listen, in football, you've got to do what you have to do to be able to do well. It's as simple as that. When he speaks about the administration, the technicality, there are no shortcuts. Some coaches want, all you need to do, some coaches want a video analyst. They want a physical trainer. They want the guy who trains the goalkeeper. Some coaches will come and say, I want to be in complete control of everybody who works in this team.
Now we have a free kick expert.
Yes, you understand. And I like our system for a reason. We have decided that our national team is also a capacity building tool. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we say to any coach who comes that our goalkeepers trainer will be one of our ex-international goalkeepers, and we'll put them in that capacity. We insist on a Ghanaian being an assistant coach, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it's worked. When we were at the 2010 World Cup, Kwesi Appiah was Raiva's assistant. Then it built his capacity beyond a certain point. We can have a debate about how useful that proved to be later on. But Silas Tete was Claude Leroy's assistant in 2008. So we have to insist on having a measure of control over that back room. But any coach with their sorts will carry their background stuff with them.
Quick point from you, Honorable Odote. So you believe we have time? We should take our time and look for someone else?
Well, if you've been in football, football administration and management, and you had to high, experience should tell you that if you take your time and do a scientific, your approach is scientifically, you could get a good coach who could come in who is worth so within a week. The decisions he will take in terms of selection, in terms of putting things in place, it could make an impact. At least I've had experiences from Hearts from King Faisal, of course. Someone will argue about the national team. I believe that the 72 hours was too honest, was too short. And from where we are and the depths to which I believe we've sunk, I believe that we need to take our time and make sure that we get the technical evaluation right. We should take both the decisions driven by short-term considerations and the medium-term considerations, so that and that will ensure that we take it within a certain defined policy in a certain direction that we want our football to go. If we don't do that, trust me, with the kind of paradigm that we have, football system that we have in this country, where you have a high turnover of players, where there's a lack of... Michael speaks about talent. We have a natural talent in terms of the football. But in terms of football administration in this country, we don't have the management talent. I'm sure a lot of people will argue with me, but that's been our bane. A lot of people are very sentimental, and I've heard some of my senior colleagues speak about we've always won won all our 4 African Cup of Nations with local talent. That's an unscientific argument. The environmental factors within that time, in terms of technology, in terms of globalization, were completely different. And at the time of Osadifo, we had the best football paradigm on the African continent. Our youth football was localized in the communities. We had academicals. We had within the schools. There was a plan from grassroots football to the national team, and the state was part involved. We had the best, so that's why we were successful. That doesn't apply now. I don't think we should go for a local coach. CK, Duncan, the rest of them, we are very good friends. But let me tell you something. If we don't look into we don't take the bull by the horns and take the decisions and do a proper situational evaluation of where we are as a country and where we think our natural talent will take us, we'll make a hasty decision. 72 hours to appoint a Black Star coach from the state of football that we are now. I think it's too short a time, and I think it's a rush. As Michael said, we shouldn't be hijacked and be blackmailed. We shouldn't blackmail ourselves with restricting ourselves to the John Boatengs, the Otto Addos, and then maybe Milo and Rayovac. We should not do that. We should make sure that we sit down, take a deep breath. A good coach can come within 2 weeks of our time to play the next World Cup, and trust me, anybody who is worth a salt can put a very winsome team together, at least to give us the time. We don't want to hear. From what we are doing, we run the risk of coming back and telling people we are rebuilding. We need time. I'm sure we don't want to run that risk. So I think that we need to take this decision within the broader aspect of where we want to take our football, and to us to be very competitive. We cannot do that in the short term. In the medium term, if we take our time, widen the net, make sure that we draw a proper evaluation, terms of reference, think through what we are doing carefully, think through it properly. I believe that we'll be able to get some very, very, very good coaches. Okay. Throughout my time at Hearts of Oak and King Faisal, we've been able to get some good foreign coaches for real value. Look at even Rayovac. When he first came in, who was he? What has he achieved? Nothing. But I think at that time, we took the right decision, and it paid off.
It was hunger.
Yes. Then Plavi came in. Plavi was not too bad at that time. I mean, a decade ago. We need to take our time and make sure we are guided by the science and a combination of the science and sentiments. But I'm afraid we need to be able to admit that the paradigm that we have now is uncompetitive.
When I come back to gentlemen, I'll just come back to the one issue you've raised, which I think is quite important, is the decision of selection, who gets on the team. But let's hear some Ghanaians about what they think about the choice, potentially, of Milovan Rajevac.
Are we bringing him on the basis that on his old track record with the Black Stars, or we are bringing Milovan because he's one of the top coaches in the world? Because if you look at his stint after Black Stars, there's nothing to write home about. He went to Qatar, he went to Thailand, he didn't achieve anything beyond that. Black Star is a big team. We can attract the best of the best if only we are willing and ready. So I believe we should be able to look beyond Milovan.
I think bringing Milovan, well, it's not a bad thing because he did good. He did good. It's not a bad thing, but I wouldn't accept it. There are so many coaches in Ghana we can explore.
Like we're going to try Ghanaian coaches. We've tried 1, 2. It's not working. I think maybe when we keep trying, we'll go and get one best out of it. But going back for Melody, it's just not for me.
To me, what I know is that if they will take a black coach, I prefer than to go and take a white coach.
For now, we need a foreign coach who really has the technical ability to put the Black Star on the pedal that we used to be.
And those were the thoughts of some Ghanaian football fans. So, Mike, let me come to you on the issue of selection, because you've said that you don't believe this argument of a lack of talent. But there's also the criticism of the GFA and those who select the boys to play, that we don't select the people who would deliver the goods for us. There's a view that some of the selections made, it's almost as if there's a certain agency football still going on in the system. And that's why we are not getting results. It's still the one-goal project since Rajavac's time.
I'll hark you back to a story and why this is, from where I sit, a bit of a mute argument. When Rajavac was in charge of the Black Stars, he was accused of the same thing.
Yes.
Of choosing his own...
Yes. He was accused of doing agency pickups. But he took the team to 2 finals and he took them to a quarter-final. Stojkovic, Blavi, dealt with the same thing. And as he said, he was not the worst coach. He left Ghana because he didn't seem to have the temperament and the capacity to deal with other things outside football. Then Avram Grant was accused of the same thing. He took the Black Stars.
So what's wrong?
There's nothing wrong. I think people must... See, I keep saying to people that when you put a coach in charge of a team, unless the coach comes to me to say, I am not allowed to pick the players, then really the argument goes back and forth on it. Every player, so some of the arguments is about Baba Rahman, but we will pick a player who plays in the Championship of England. We pick a lot of players like that. All I'm saying is that...
Do we pick players that are playing regularly? Or we just
Yes, we pick players who play regularly. Again, one of the big misconceptions. So you can have, so we had Gideon Mensah, we had the last game in Johannesburg, we had Gideon Mensah start at left back, we had Majid Ashimeru from Anderlecht. These were players people were calling to play. The Hasselhoek right back was regular. Richard Ofori, goalkeeper, his first choice goalkeeper for Orlando Pirates in South Africa. We started with Mubarak Wakaso and the rest. I just think that there is, and again, I always go back to our most successful periods. At the height of our success, when we qualified for the World Cup in 2006, these were not players who were quote unquote made stars already. These were players who became stars off the back of the qualification and off the back of a fantastic World Cup display. One of our lead strikers was Joe Tex Frimpong. If Joe Tex Frimpong was ever in the national team now, we'll make the same argument. In fact, the player who scored a goal in 2006, that took us to the next round of the World Cup, Hamidou Dramani. And that's the period when I, as a journalist, stopped talking about how players are picked based on who influences what. Because we kept going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it.
And then they delivered for us.
Exactly. Dramani scoring the crucial goal that took us through. I'm just saying that the problem with football is that too many people have...
There are too many interest groups.
Yes. And so we will never agree on the call-up. Listen, when we sit here, the three of us, and you give us a list and said, pick 20 players for the Black Stars, we will not agree on anything.
Okay.
So imagine a man having to pick the players, and then, I also don't understand why people think that if I am on the executive committee of the GFA and a coach brings a list, we cannot have a debate about it. It's the job of the coach to say, this is my list, this is what it is, this is what is final. And some coaches have done that. Exactly.
Unique.
You worked with coaches before, and you come up, you share an idea with them. He listens, he goes, he does what he wants. There's nothing wrong with that. I would have a portfolio to manage here. I always tell people that you will come to me and we will share the ideas, but ultimately, you have to convince me to buy into the idea. If I buy into the idea, I have effectively owned the idea. If you walk into a board meeting of 12 other people and they give you ideas about what to do and the rest, the moment you nod yes to it, the idea becomes yours. So if a coach goes into a meeting and selects his players, and somebody says, oh, this player is not good, why don't you call the other one? And he agrees, he's buying into the idea. We cannot say to people, don't say anything. You understand? It's just not possible. Where it becomes a problem is where there is an imposition. But that imposition can only be proved by the man in charge. And if you're a coach and you allow that to happen, and then you get out of the meeting and all you do is that when you lose a game, you use that as an excuse. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. In fact, your capacity to be able to withhold that sort of pressure is part of the qualities you need to be a coach. And that's why foreign coaches are so successful here. When Bukat Caesar came here, there was this habit of the sports ministers then walking into the dressing room at halftime to go and give motivational messages. He had never heard about it. He said, it will not happen. Halftime is a period for me to go through the game, talk through a few things, maybe give the mantle to the captain. Some other coach doesn't find any problem with it. It's not the reason they win or lose games. But they despised it. Avram Grant didn't like it. So that's the way it is. Everybody who worked the Kwesi Appiah, the GFA officials, knew that when he gave his list, to convince him to put anybody in or drop anybody was an incredible piece of work. So then there was a lot of consultation that will happen before that decision was made. But any coach who says that because he's a local coach, there is an imposition, then my friend, I'm sorry, you're not prepared for the job. You know.
Vincent, Honorable Vincent Sowat, do we speak to the right people to play for us?
Well, I think that I'll pick up on what it's the right people. It's look, if you've been in football, let me be careful here. I mean, football, it's a in football leadership, you have to be a leader in football. You have to listen to a lot of opinions. And this issue about player selection, it's about leadership of the team, as Michael said. That's what it is. Because, I mean, the examples is given Plavi. In the past, you want sports ministers, even from Osajifo's time. But you, the coach who is in charge, must be reasonable. You know what you want. There must be considerations. Look, I've worked with football coaches who, before they select, ask you, Chairman, can you do the selection for us this weekend? Everybody does their selection. You pick all of them up. In the end, he picks them. In the end, he picks the 11 that must play. With the national team, there's a lot of interest. I don't think that is going to go away. But you, as the one in charge, with your vision, with your style of play, you should know that you have to be very collaborative. But at the end of the day, the buck will stop with you. So
but it seems our local coaches have more difficulty managing that aspect of the job. And I've heard a lot of people say, look, we want results. We should just go for a foreign coach. We should look for somebody who will take us to where we want to go. And where do we want to go? We want to win the African Cup. We want to get beyond the quarterfinals of the World Cup. I've even heard some people say, bring a coach in. If he doesn't deliver, sack him. Sack until you get what you want.
Coaches are hired to be fired. I'm not sure.
I think that's turbulence.
It's not turbulence. You know, Chelsea have done it remarkably well. It's always what you want. You know, Chelsea have done it remarkably well. Some clubs don't do it, some do it. Real Madrid will get rid of you if they have to and put you there. But it's a different environment. Do we speak to the right people? I think it's yes or no. When players, especially those born outside, make up their mind that they don't want to play for you, there's very little you can do.
Very little.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I always tell people that sometimes you have to, one of my biggest arguments as well is that people always try to dissociate football from the larger societal issues. So you've got a kid who grew up in London, his friends are in London, he was born in London. His only connection to your country is that his parents come from there. At the age of 21, 22, you want him to become convinced that Ghana is more important than where he grew up, where his friends are, where his classmates are, where his best friends are and everything. It doesn't work that way.
And to add on, Michael, just more so when you invite him to an environment where things are not transparent,
exactly,
where it's not all competitive. He looks at his career. Once he takes it to play for the Black Stars, there's an opportunity cost of not playing for England. No, it's not going to happen.
So
it's not going to happen.
We must make a significant.
We must wake up to the reality that the fact that somebody has heritage back home doesn't make them sentimental.
Algeria, Morocco, and the rest have done it. And in most cases, a lot of these players are players. The ones who choose you are those who are on the borderline and are not sure of what it is. Look, we have a very good chance with Callum Hudson-Odoi now because it's very obvious that he's not in the long-term plans of England. The moment he becomes a Chelsea regular, 1, 2, 3, plays for 3 consistent months, gets into the next 2, 3 squads, he will not bat an eyelid. He would play for England. You know, listen, Tomori,
over Ghana,
all those boys.
Yes,
because the prospects for their careers, their earnings, and just purely everything else is better with them. So I really think there are a lot of issues, but again, a lot of this comes down to leadership.
Or maybe it's also about us, the football fans in Ghana. We just assume that
they get racially abused and still play for England.
Yeah, no. So what I mean is, we assume that everybody who is Ghanaian out there owes us
that's our sentimental.
No. Should we change our mindset?
Yeah, it's about leadership. It's purely about leadership and a certain mindset that comes to realization that things have changed. We are in competition with every now globalization technology.
Yes.
We don't take those things into consideration to ensure that we build. I keep going back building a paradigm that will be competitive. Once you have that mindset, you begin to look at the things which are necessary. You begin to look at all the issues. Look, the English game was changed by a non-football person, Adam Crozier, Scottish, who came in and looked at football. 30 years ago, we all watched formal soccer. No one watched English football. Adam Crozier is Scottish, nothing about football, but loved the game, not in the what we call the football people administration. He completely saw a different aspect of football, bring it in technology, bring it in finance, bring it in marketing, to change it, to make sure that the business and redefine the models of football as we see here. That is the kind of leadership we need at this moment in Ghana. I can see my colleagues in the FA trying to do a lot of changes in terms of making sure that there are some reforms next season. Here we're going to go with the autonomous league. But it's important that whilst they think about we need structural reforms, we need systemic changes, we need to look at the way we organize football. We need to differentiate what we call the hygienic changes and strategic changes. What we are doing now is good, as the right direction, but they are hygienic changes. They will make us be able to sanitize the football, but instead of being real competitive in a sustainable manner, I think we need to do a lot more of that. That is when we must realize that we don't have the capacity. Unfortunately, we know over the years the decay and our posture and the whole brand image has not been able to attract the best of society. Michael spoke about we think football is different from the rest. No. If you don't do your thing, so you don't attract the best brains. And if you don't attract the best brains, you will not be able to be able to carve out a model that will be competitive, which takes into consideration the competitions you face, your weaknesses, and we take into consideration who can bring the best resources, and who takes into consideration the thing that will make sure that you'll be able to regain and be able to achieve your potential. Michael, you spoke about the talent. Yes, in life, resources are made. They are never given. Resources are made. They are not given. What it means then is that, yes, we have the natural talent. I have no doubt about that. We have people who play the English Premier League. But if you don't have the right paradigm, with the right leader, with the right management team, with the right environment that will make sure that they give out their best, I'm sorry, you'll be hitting your head against a brick wall. That is the challenge we face in this country. And the earlier we realize that, the better. Because from what I'm seeing, if we don't take the right issue with these Black Stars and continue and top up the changes that the current FA is doing, which is good, with the aspect of bringing in management talent, non-football management talent. We need a combination of that to be able to fully build a winsome and a competitive paradigm that will make sure that we are able to win. The Black Stars cannot do well if we don't build our domestic game.
All right, let's take some quick text messages and we go for a break. This one says, if the GFA is ready to go for someone and pay $45,000 and you believe he will do the magic, why do you expect another person to do same magic with $25,000 US? The GFA must be realistic in its dealings when engaging the services of local-based coaches and other technical staff for national teams. That's from Ajay Nkofridria. This one from Horoya Ali, former national organizer of Accra House of Oak, you know him. Looking at the record of this coach, and I think that's Milo, he's the best for the Black Stars job. His previous records with the Stars made him the best among the rest. And Jacob from Amasaman writes, please note that Milo Van Raiva performed well because we had quality players at the time. No coach can do well with the current crop of players we have in the Black Stars. It's obvious that a lot of them are not skillful.
That's not correct. Listen, Raivat did well because he knew how to manage old talent and bring in good ones. We have a good pool of players now. We have not managed that process well. We still have youngsters who are playing in Champions League, Bundesliga. It's the management of the talent. When Raivat went to the 2010 World Cup, without Muntari, without ACN injured in the first game against Burkina Faso, without John Mensah and the rest, he didn't panic. He just picked. And okay, he was lucky there was players from the other 20s available. But you must have the confidence as any manager to pick people from somewhere and say, listen, you have a certain level of talent. This is a big stage. Just go on to deliver. Nothing stops Sike Akuno from doing so.
Not at all.
Nothing stops Sike Akuno from giving the younger players more responsibility in the team. He didn't do it. So why do people keep referring to talent?
Sike used to coach Hearts of Oak, but as I said, his biggest issue that despite all the problems he has said, he failed to show leadership. It's unfortunate. But as I said, he had the pool of the players. Look, Cameroon went to the 1990 World Cup with players who were playing, even some of them were retired. Jamila was in semi-retirement. We need to have that mindset about leadership. Michael, just before you look at this Hearts of Oak. Yes. In Africa, Guinea has 2 teams, and one of them, Horoya, is seeded in the Champions League. Ghana has only 1 team, and we cannot even present a team for the Confederations Cup. That should tell you the state of the football that we face. That should tell you. I believe that at the appropriate time, those of us are managing House of Folk now, myself and Tugbe, will come out with the things that we have done that people will think are just magic. That people would think are just mad. That's where we are. Until this Wednesday, who knew we have recruited one of the top 50 chief marketing officers in Ghana? No one knew that. He's not the only one we've recruited. We are trying to. We have to look at new ways to turn the face of the game around. Yes, all right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll ask: should we take a break from international football entirely, and among other things? All that after the break.
So Nanso Capra with the grand gando. Siki any beat with the savings. Yeah, best yes, Sika, yeah, casket too. No holiday. Charlie with the grind every day. So you need but you see a Sika criminal, but you to a cost of here pay. You be clearly a Quabantia coaching chin, this Sika, baby. Yeah, be clearly Tia Quabontia coaching chin the Sika Befie. Epe Sika Befie. Frisa Busia Ofie. Yepe Nija Befie. Frisa Busia Ofie. Epe Sika Befie. Yeah, my search for the door makeup. What's your name? What's your name? When you see crowd, I be hard them talk. Yeah, I know I search your boy. Midnight I found a boy. What's the crowd? Watch your convoy. Hey, sick I won't tip be a ball. Hit it, my name grind. This how we go fine. Time it go be so nice.
Who joins the final bus to the finale? It's been weeks of cultural exposition on Ghana's most beautiful. The ladies gave their best performances, grew through the race, and this week, the ladies throw their last shot at selling tourism in their various regions. Who makes it to the final 6 is the last eviction. To secure that final spot for your contestant, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app on Google Play Store or the App Store and vote. GMB comes to you live this Sunday only on TV3. Audience strictly by invitation. GMB 2021, rediscovering true beauty. GMB 2021 shows Sundays at
8 p.m.
and repeats Fridays at 3 p.m. and is sponsored by Lavon's Tomato Mix, Camel now from Kerex, Freedom from Casaprecon, GTP, Darling Lemon Drink, Airtel Tigo's Big Time Bundles,
Lufat,
Deluxe Acrylic Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, and Napa Mackerel,
Geisha, Close Up,
Ayo Insurance, Fun Milk Nutri-Day Yogurt, and supported by
Did you say food, fire and fan? Oh yes! Ungalicious Ghana Cooks Family Battle Edition is back with a bang. The country's most sensational cooking show where families face off in the fiercest culinary battles of their life. This time, we're looking for a team of 2, a cook and a helping hand, to battle it out with their contenders for the ultimate share of 100,000 Ghana cedis total prize. Are you that family? Friends maybe? Then pick a team of 2, the cook and the helping hand. All you need is 1, a picture of your team with any of the Onga variants. 2, a picture of your unique finished food and your team name. Send these details to 0551 411 122 and stand the chance of winning big from our 100,000 Ghana cedis prize pool.
Entries end on the 7th October 2021.
Ungalicious Family Battle. Do it with your family.
Ungalicious Ghana Cooks, coming soon on TV3.
This week on the Ladies Circle, all you need to know in your 20s as you look forward to your 30s.
It's fact, it's science. Yeah. As a woman, you have a biological clock.
Yeah.
If for you having children is something that's on the radar, don't rush it.
You would have to learn how to keep personal information to yourself.
I got married, I think, just before I hit 30.
Are you feeling anxious? Are you worried about getting to the 3rd floor of your life? Or maybe some tips from some of us experienced one will calm your nerves.
I could just be talking to a guy and I'm like this and I'll rest my hand on your shoulder and everything, but that cost me a lot.
Wait.
Yeah!
Sila, makeup.
You should have made me say it.
Make sure to join us this Saturday and every Saturday right here on TV3, 6 p.m. on the Ladies Circle.
Brought to you by
Yaz Sanitary Pad, Vodafone, GTP, Still Timeless,
Woodin,
Cowbell, Our Milk.
This Saturday on Music. Hey, what's up? Are you ready to see our on-site highlights?
Mr. Masani. Well, if I can't believe them, you know, you not running, but me girl, you know, me cannot be ashamed.
La Russo, come on in.
La Russo, welcome to Guinness. Rude and solid, we are Guinness. I can't pull me off. Eva, La Russo, Eva. Oi, oi, see.
facial expression.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
I'm Dr. Ted Spear, pastor of the Fundamental Baptist Church International in Boshane, Kumasi. And I want you to tune in here every Sunday morning from 6 to 6:30, where you will receive inspirational messages. I've learned to be happy. Why? Because God is good. Teaching on salvation and sound biblical doctrine. As long as I am the pastor of the Fundamental Baptist Church International, we will always be focused on soul winning, on preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Fundamental Hour shows on Sundays at 6 a.m. on TV3.
The stage is set. The battle lines have been drawn.
Are you going to play or you're ready for an offer to go home? You're going to play. Type of free kick in which a player can score a goal directly.
No, you got it wrong. Are you ready to be part of the thrills, fireworks and excitement as the three tussle to win big and chip away part of the mega 250,000 Ghana cedis cash from the boss?
2,600. You've done very well. Disappointed. Disappointed? Yeah. Hey, catchy.
The Game Show shows Sundays at 4 p.m. on TV3.
The Boss TV Game Show, proudly brought to you by G Money.
Thank you very much for staying with us here on The Key Points. So let me come back to our guests in studio, the Honorable Suadute, and also to Michael T.A.J. Mike, I've had a tweet from one Nene Azu who says we should take a break from international football and put our house in order, assemble a proper team, and then relaunch. Is that a realistic ask?
I've heard that argument from different people. I'm sorry.
I think the Honorable Sam George also made
Yes.
a similar argument.
It's a non-starter argument.
Why? What's so bad about staying out?
Everything. You develop by doing things. So what would we be doing when we stay out? We stay out, then what? We come players. What are we going to do in that period? We stay out. We say we are not going to play in AFCON again. So this also means you won't play in under 17, you won't play in under 20, you won't play in under 23, you won't play at the highest level. By the time you are ready, how are you going to prepare to get ready? Ready for what? How do you judge your readiness? You judge your readiness by results that comes. Do you know any serious football nation? Germany have gone through a consistent period of struggle. What you do is that whilst you are on top, you are conscious about a significant transition period. It's what everybody does. Hasselhoff is on top. Hasselhoff has auroras. Hasselhoff has a clear idea who will come in for this position, that position. Being able to manage transitions is part of management. At some stage, then we might as well put the whole country on hold and get things working properly before we do things again. It's like saying, okay, let's.
So the ripple, so staying out creates a certain ripple effect that we may not be able to claw back from.
It's not a solution. It's not. Football is an ongoing thing. You know, it's an ongoing thing. It's just to have a clear idea in your mind. So, for instance, I personally think that we'll not qualify for the next World Cup. I've seen enough to be convinced that the next World Cup will be difficult. I saw enough to be convinced 2018 was going to be difficult. It's to have these things at the back of your mind and be clear in your mind that your preparation has a certain timeline. You don't achieve anything by deciding that in order to get there, I would rather not do this. So you're a media house and you say, okay, my program is not doing well. So I'm putting my program off and then I'll bring it back later. By the time you come back, other people have
taken over your space.
You change things as you move along. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an integral part of that. So when I read that argument, I laugh.
So,
I'm
so
wondering
that's not realistic.
When FIFA or CAF ban teams from playing, you go to every length to make sure that they are reinstated. Why do you do the self-inflicted? No. In life, you have to you remain in the competition. That's why you build your competencies. That's why you build you build your craft, and then you continue to manage. As Michael said, in management, there's something called a product curve. Everything goes through the curve. You are at the top. The transition means that you are likely, once you get to the people get to their peak, they are going to decline. What do you put in place to ensure that you are able to remain at the top sustainably, or when you are declining, you are able to do that, get your house in order, then you move on. That is where we have failed as a country.
Will we go to the World Cup? Mike says he doesn't think we'll qualify. Do you think we'll qualify?
I believe that since South Africans will have to come here, if we made the right choice in terms of the right coach. I'm not sure about the current technical director of the FA, the management team of the Black Stars. We are all colleagues. But if we take our time and made the right choice, I don't think it's impossible. I think we are behind side with just 1 point. I think 1 point in football.
You can fall back.
I think so. If we have the natural talent, what we like is organization. If we're able to put ours within the short term, and with the eye on the medium term, I believe that the probability may be low, but it's still possible.
I take back my words. I think it's still doable.
But just a quick one to you, Vincent, and Mike. I'll end with you about the GFA. The Black Stars seems to make the GFA so unpopular because I think the GFA does much more than just Black Stars. But it seems that's what makes them so unpopular. I mean, any thoughts about, you've already mentioned the technical director and all that, any thoughts about, for themselves, how to, correct this negative image?
Yeah, Jifaras said earlier on, I think that this administration led by our good friend Kurt are taking steps to reform the game. But I would just urge them, if they have to make sure that they are successful to transform the game, they should go beyond just the hygienic changes they are making. They need to make a conscious effort to bring in experts outside football to do a complete strategic document for us to make sure that we are honest with ourselves. What is the problem with Ghana football? We need to identify them. High turnover of players, lack of systemic reforms, lack of quality human resource, lack of finance. And these things are things we need to sit down and address them. I think they are looking in the right direction, but to get there quicker and to make sure that they stay and look at the right direction, they need to do a lot more than what they are doing.
Thank you. Yes, Mike.
I think with the Black Stars, you are only popular if you are winning games. It's that simple. You've just got to win games. But also people get a sense of understanding that decisions are made for the overall interest of the country. It's very difficult to convince people in that regard, but once we're able to do that, I think they will be good to go.
All right, thank you very much, Vincent Sowa Odote, former MP for Ladade Kotopon, former MD, Accra House of Oak, board member, Hearts of Oak. Thanks very much. Michael TJ, always good to have you, GM News and Digital here at MD. I'll see you on Monday.
See you Monday.
See you, Jeff. Thanks.
Thanks very much. And we'll be right back with the political crisis in Guinea.
Is the final bus to the finale. It's been weeks of cultural exposition on Ghana's most beautiful. The ladies gave their best performances, grew through the race, and this week, the ladies throw their last shot at selling tourism in their various regions. Who makes it to the final 6 is the last eviction. To secure that final spot for your contestant, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app on Google Play Store or the App Store and vote. GMB comes to you live this Sunday only on TV3. Audience strictly by invitation. GMB 2021, rediscovering true beauty. GMB 2021 shows Sundays at
8 p.m.
and repeats Fridays at 3 p.m. and is sponsored by Lavon's Tomato Mix. Camel, now from Kerex. Freedom from Casaprecon. GTP. Darling Lemon Drink. Airtel Tigo's Big Time Bundles.
Lufat.
Deluxe Acrylic Paint. Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil. And Napa Mackerel.
Geisha. Close Up.
Ayo Insurance. Fun Milk Nutri-Day Yogurt. And supported by
Do you know how to solatido, or you know how to blow all the bars? Then your time has come to be the next global icon on MentorX. Who will take over from the lyrical Kweku Bani and climb out the music industry to be the next global icon? If you're in the Northern Belt, catch the Mentor Audition Training Tamale on the 17th of September at the Radash Hotel at 8 a.m. Applicants from the Middle Belt will converge at Maitland Hotel, Kumasi on the 19th of September 2021. The Western and Central Belts can join us at Akroma Plaza Hotel, Takrate on the 21st of September. Finally, Southern Belt auditions will take place on the 24th and 25th September 2021 at TV3 at the Sawe Kanda.
This is the one and two of the black girls out to rock.
Nationals from other African countries can also compete in MentorX. If you come from any other African country but live in Ghana, you can also join us at any of the audition centers to book your spot in the competition. It's the 10th edition of TV3 Mentor. MentorX takes you higher.
This Saturday on Celebrity Fun Time.
Hi everyone, you are watching the most celebrated TV game show called Celebrity Fun Time. Because on this show, it's all fun, excitement, and music. Who painted the Mona Lisa? Hadia for real.
Celebrity Fun Time this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by
Now, welcome back. So we move on to the political crisis in Guinea and what the way forward is. Now, ECOWAS have been in Guinea over the last 2 days. The presidents Akufo-Addo and Alassane Ouattara have been there. They delivered a message of ECOWAS sanctions to the military junta in Guinea. So what next there? What's going to change? Let's speak to Dr. Aliu Bari, who is the national investigator for Afrobarometer in Guinea, and also Colonel Festus Abuaji, who is a retired military officer and security analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on the key points on TV3 and 3FM. So first, let me start with Dr. Bari. Now that the ECOWAS, chairman, all right, we're told Mr. Barry is also. I'll turn to Colonel Abuaji. So, Colonel Abuaji, the ECOWAS leaders have delivered their message of sanctions to the military junta in Guinea. Some have said it's not a realistic request to demand a return to democratic governance in 6 months. How do you read the situation going forward?
Well, I think ECOWAS was a bit hasty in establishing the sanctions regime and other punitive measures. and then seeking now to communicate or dialogue or negotiate with Conakry. The whole idea is that the benchmark of 6 months for Guinea to return to constitutional rule is impossible, even if you reinstate the constitution that has been overthrown, which is not going to be possible anyway. Even if you reinstate the constitution that Alpha Condé overthrew, 6 months is still not long enough to put in place the logistics, the electoral infrastructure, and invariably some appointments at the Electoral Commission will have to change because of their possible complicity in the fraudulent referendum. But the whole idea is that the reality is that the constitution has been overthrown. There is no constitution in Guinea as we speak. And it's a constitution that provides the legal framework for politicking. The political parties will have to be provided for in the constitution. The constitution is not there. So the first requirement for Guinea and for all its partners, including ECOWAS, and particularly the chair of ECOWAS at this time, is to assist Guinea to establish a coherent, practicable roadmap, which starts with drafting a new constitution and promulgating the new constitution after referendum to lay the foundations or the conditions for the elections to take place. That all of these cannot take place in 6 months. And therefore, ECOWAS needs to revise its position and make concessions towards Conakry. Indeed, I argued yesterday that the whole objective or purpose of the delegation, the high-level delegation, track 1, of 2 heads of states, including ours, to Guinea, should be to go and find out what the Guinean authorities, the reality on the ground now, is doing to return to constitutional democracy. But the messages that we are picking is that they are very early in that stage. The authorities are now holding consultations, broad-based consultations with diverse segments of Guinean society in order to build a reasonable consensus on the way forward. The problem is that we as ECOWAS, who are not in Guinea, cannot sit outside of Guinea and decide for Guinea how Guineans should govern themselves. If that was not the case, or if that were not the case, then why did they allow Condé to re-engineer the constitution, more or less to replay, the past history of Guinea when Conte also re-engineered the constitution? That attitude of ECOWAS is what is creating all these problems in the region or the sub-region. ECOWAS needs to come to terms that civilian governance is not that you do whatever you want, even if you are violating the very protocols that ECOWAS has established. And there are very concrete protocols that are in place to tackle civilian unconstitutionalism. You see, so the way forward for me is not very difficult. It is for ECOWAS to accept that the roadmap will have to emanate from Conakry, not from outside. And therefore, they need to negotiate with Guinea on that roadmap. The coup makers already said that they need about 18 months. That may be revised after the consultations to make it shorter or to make it longer. But 6 months, with the little knowledge I have about how elections are organized, is not going to be possible.
Okay, let's hear Dr. Barry, who is the national investigator for Afrobarometer in Guinea. Can you give us a sense of what is the response of the military junta to the ECOWAS sanctions in terms of the message brought by the high-level delegation? Do the sanctions matter at all to the junta and to Guinean society?
Thank you for giving me the floor. No, I would like to say that no, sanctions don't matter here. So Yeah, for instance, I don't know if you watch the Guinea television. We had yesterday some peaceful manifestations all over the country, in Conakry and several regions. There were peaceful manifestations against ECOWAS heads of states, ECOWAS leaders. And, this military junta is really well supported by the population. And it's not only about elections. And I totally agree with the professor, your speaker who were speaking in few moments, that we are in the situation that our country has no constitution and no legal government. And the ECOWAS also heard from some actors that really we didn't have any legitimate power. So, I think the sanctions from ECOWAS don't matter here. And people are saying to the CNRD, the military junta, to go ahead, do your consultations, and then try to have your chart that will be discussed with all key actors here. And finally, Guinea will find its own way, to reinstore or to reinstate a democracy in the country. But it's not like hurrying up, okay, you have to do it in 6 months or not. So I even heard from some key actors here that finally, if the situation will remain the same from with the ECOWAS leaders, maybe Guinea will leave ECOWAS.
Really? That's serious?
Very serious, yeah. I think they should normally, this is what we were asking for. And I don't know, you remember that I said here, normally they are supposed to listen people's voice here. But they are not listening people's voice. And, the sentiment that we have here, the opinion that people have on the ground is ECOWAS are just acting like a labor union of, heads of states. They are just, trying to save the power of Alpha Condé, not to listen to the people's voice.
Okay.
But,
Let me ask. Now, one of the things the leadership asked, Presidents Akufo-Addo and Ouattara asked for, was the release of President Condé. We know that he's still being held, but is there any information about what will be done? If he is released, will they ask him to go into exile, for instance? Are those things that are being discussed?
Yeah, from what I heard, I think they have no agreement on releasing the President Condé to go to exile. And I also heard that President Condé himself would like to remain in Guinea, to stay in Guinea. We don't know, I don't know really the true picture, but I heard from very relevant sources that, they will not let him leave the country for now. And several other ministers also will not leave the country. They are working. I can say again that last time I said to you that they are doing audits and they are working on getting back assets, stolen assets. For instance, they have already seized more than 200 buildings now, and 5 trillion Guinea francs in less than 2 weeks, and several industries. I heard about 25 industries that have been already seized, and also businesses. So accounts, they are working on the ground. They are not, just meeting people doing consultations. They are working. And now the sentiment of Guineans is this: we have gone through, transition for 3 times. This is, I think, the third time.
Okay.
So we had 2 transitions, and these transitions were just failure.
All right.
So now people are asking for strong reforms, you know, and building strong public institutions. Yes, election is important. Elections matter here, but we would like to have strong institutions before, you know, giving back the
proper
power.
elections. All right.
Yeah.
Let me take our final point from Colonel Festus Abuaji. Very interesting that the military junta have gathered up properties, monies. They are keeping officials in country. To wrap up, what are your fears for President Conte and his ministers? Anything we should be preparing for or dealing with?
Well, so far, and listening to my colleague from Conakry, I don't think the former president is in any danger. The military has not manhandled him. I've heard from elsewhere that he has a doctor, he has a cook, he is in a very decent accommodation, except that his freedom has been curtailed. And of course, he's lost power. So there is no danger to him. The ECOWAS idea that he must be released actually is to enable ECOWAS to save face and gain a bit of legitimacy and tell the sub-region or the international community that they've managed to release a former or negotiate for the release of the former president. There are pros and cons to whether Condé leaves or doesn't leave. Look, it doesn't matter what Condé is. He's got his own sympathizers or his own constituency. So when he remains and continually his name appears in the media, it can be counterproductive. Now, when he leaves, it creates a space for the new regime to manage the affairs without any fear of reprisals from the Condé camp, But of course, as our doctor has said, Condé says he's not going to leave. So let him stay in Guinea. But ECOWAS must allow a free space for the new regime to sort out the mess. The point that the doctor has made is that our civilian politicians must remember that governance is a responsibility. It entails accountability. And if indeed it is true that people have corrupted the amount that he mentioned, 5 trillion Guinean francs, I don't know the conversion rate, that's a huge amount. You see, so the whole problem is the failure of our civilian establishments to be seen to be governing in accordance with the dictates of law, both national, both sub-regional, and both international. You see, so I don't have any apprehensions about the situation in Guinea. I don't think the former president is under any threat. The situation will rather be messy if anybody makes the attempt. Look, we need to recognize that all countries are not the same. Yeah. There are smaller countries, and smallness doesn't mean weakness. Yeah. Guinea is not like Gambia, that we can threaten and say, look, we're coming if you don't leave. That is Yaya Jammeh. Because Guinea is surrounded by Senegal. So once you deploy or you project military power on all the borders of Guinea, including the Atlantic Ocean, Gambia, we will feel the threat. Guinea is not like that. Okay. Again, Guinea is a key player in that part of West Africa. Look, the mineral concessions, precisely the iron ore that is mined in Liberia, is mined by a Guinean concessionaire. So the economies are tied together before you even come to the informal economies of the border communities, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, for instance. And one of the ethnic groups, who I was in Liberia, the Loma, and so on and so forth, cut across the border into Guinea. So there are all these ethnic dimensions that, as they say in that part, this weather they call kuku jumuku, means that if you are not inside, you don't know what is going on.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And that's all time will allow us. I want to say thanks to Dr. Aliu Bari joining us from Guinea. Also, Colonel Festus Abuaje joining us as well. And you've been watching Key Points live from TV3 and also on 3FM 92.7, also at 3news.com and on our Facebook and Twitter page. It's been a really packed show, but thanks to all our guests, thanks to all of you for your messages as well. Join me again next week, Saturday, for another interesting edition. Up next is Warm Up Plus.